OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
Okay, it's bang on 7:30. It is Tuesday, the 30th of August. This date has been ringed in our calendar for a long time because it is Owen, a final show. How are you?
Yeah, how are things?
Very good.
Well done, that was a good intro.
I'm done now. My work here is over. Colin is with us as well. Colin, good morning to you.
Morning, sir. Morning, Owen. I'm wearing black.
Yeah.
Fitting for the listeners.
I wore this shirt on the, like, I figured this is my best chance of us ending up in the same, but we were no longer simpatico.
Unfortunately,
the spell is broken.
I have that shirt. Obviously, I just decided not to wear it today, just out of bad luck. We were on a very good run there for a while, where it was literally the same outfit every day for about 6 or 7 shows. It was nice.
I'm going to set the tone. We because some of us come in before public transport starts. We have to get taxis to work. And when I was coming in early, for many years, I had the same taxi driver, and he's a lovely man by the name of Pat Coffey. But then my work time started a little bit later, and so my relationship with Pat disappeared because I couldn't use him anymore. But Owen is very close to where me and Pat are from, and so. He's been driving you in for a number of years, and you've become friends.
Yeah.
And today you had to tell him that you were leaving.
I told him a while ago, and today was the day I had to say, you know what, I'm not going to see you for a while, Pat. So yeah, that was a bit emotional. That was a tough one.
That's the first one there. It's like, with us, you can be like, that bunch of clowns. I'm free of them finally, shaking the dust off them.
Maybe I just think that this was a relationship that was very much confined to the morning, every single morning, and like there'd be the odd text here and there. Maybe if it was off for a long period of time, and I don't know, Kerry had done something spectacular, or maybe Tip had done something spectacular because that's where he's from, or he was involved with the Dublin setup as well at an underage level. So it was very much confined to this. Whereas I hope with you guys and with my friends,
intergenerational bromance.
Exactly. He's a wise man and a good man, and that was a tough goodbye now this morning.
And it finally started to ring home that you're going to have to record all this in your brain as opposed to like on your phone, because it's difficult for your generation. I may as well finish this off the way we started.
Yeah. It's not easy. So I need to like jot that down somewhere, write down how I felt.
What did a thing happen to me that I can't record on the phone?
Yeah.
Somebody stick in the cloud quick.
Didn't take a selfie.
There is no cloud. Well, that's a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Or else it's not.
I could have cashed in on that.
Yeah. If I was leaving the country forever, I wouldn't tell the taxi driver until the last day, because if you tell him early, he might not show up. And he'd be in trouble.
Why would he not show up?
Because he's like, he told me he was leaving. I can't remember. Like, you're not his only fare.
No. He'd
be like, he said he's leaving, did he? I'll forget about that. And then he could be stranded and might not show up on your last day, and that would have been devastating.
Only fares. That sounds like a sort of seedy taxi driving.
I have a question. On your Spotify playlist that you'll be listening to, would you have that Arctic Monkey song in it for nostalgic reasons? Can you actually hear that song anymore in 6 months' time, when you're deep in the rainforest and you hear that? Would you get a shiver up your spine being like, oh, it's time to go live on air? Planted in your brain?
No.
Why not? Do you not listen to it every morning?
Yeah, no, I just no. Like, I mean, there will be obviously some bits and pieces here and there, but that will not be one of those songs that'll make me, because like I attach different things to this show, not the I bet you look on the dance floor.
What things do you attach to the show?
The people and the memories, and that's it.
It's going to be a long, awkward 2 hours.
Yeah.
We actually don't have any running order. We're just going to reflections on my time at Off the Ball from Eoin Sheahan over the next. That's it. Come on, go for it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's just open mic for 2 hours. My wildest dream.
You are going to South America, correct?
Yes.
Can you confirm that?
Yes. Eventually, I'm not starting there, but I will eventually get there if I don't run out of money.
Well, why not play a game of capitals and currencies with South American countries? Start the clock. So, Owen, if I was to say, I'll put it into context, put it in a scenario.
I've done no research for this, by the way.
Wait, which one's the crypto? We always forget about that one.
El Salvador.
Hello,
That's
sir.
one correct answer.
Hello, sir. I would like to go to Argentina, but I can't quite find the capital. Oh, sir, the capital is...
Why are we... is this an actual... This is an actual thing, okay. And you're starting me off with an easy one.
Exactly,
the capital of Argentina
to make you understand the game.
Aires.
And, I'd like to pay for this Eoin Sheahan replica mug. What will I pay with?
See, this is going to be like deeply, deeply embarrassing. This is like, I mean, I've been busy. I haven't really
The
got
colonial
the point.
conquistador will arrive with like his mobile phone and he'll point it at them and go, "It's money, this money."
Well, what would you use to pay for items in Argentina? What will you use?
All I know is that, I mean, I'm just going to have US dollars and pesos, and that will be enough, right?
Owen, if I'm in Caracas, what country am I in?
I do know this one. The answer to that question is Venezuela, isn't it?
Wow, very good. In Peru, what currency did they use?
I actually did know this at some point. I actually don't know now.
Well, I'll give you a hint. Luis Figo made a very controversial transfer from Barcelona to Real Madrid, as you're aware of. And at the same time, in English football, another player made a very controversial transfer. And that player was...
At the same time as Luis Figo made his transfer. So this is...
a year later, and your lot
2000.
actually benefited from it.
Oh, Sol Campbell.
So they used...
The Sol?
The Sol.
It could have been either of those two things.
Do you want to know a fun fact about Ecuador?
Yes, I
Or
do.
can you tell me?
The highest capital in the world? No.
Their currency is the US dollar.
It's not. That's Bolivia, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's handy, isn't it?
Yeah. Hello, sir. Can you tell me what the capital of Brazil is?
Brasilia.
Very good. I thought you were going to fall into the Rio trap. But
Yes.
you didn't.
I saw you try to snare me.
Ger, would you like to play quickly?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
I'm going to Ecuador.
Quito.
That's an easy one.
Colombia.
Bogota.
What will I use to pay items with this currency? And it's called...
I don't know. The peso.
Yes. Very good.
Or the other.
That's the
Now
default
we'll run
answer.
through the others because we're short in time.
It's really, really enjoyable game, though.
It is. I hope it's enjoyable for everybody listening. Shifty Dad's going to come in now with a few guesses.
A reminder, OTB AM is brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. It's always going away, and that's why we're indulging ourselves a little bit today. There will be some stuff. We're going to talk to Gregor Paul. We're going to do some Formula 1. We'll talk about football. We'll get our Owen's Arsenal shopping list if he wants it. We're going to do a You Had to Be There, which is some of the best sporting memories where sometimes you forget where you're doing because you love that game so much. And that's yeah. You managed to get away without doing that slot.
I actually realised that my list would be pretty bad. Like, it wouldn't be very diverse to like Carl Dennehy's one last week was really good.
Well, I mean, that might have ruined the slot for the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you see
His was a
Messi.
pretty...
It's
Like,
wow,
when I was doing
that's-
that, I was kind of thinking about my own, and I was like, 80% of the really, truly great performances I've seen have just been Gaelic football.
It's all right.
It's like
It's your thing.
my entire relationship, 95% of my relationship more with football and possibly even with rugby is like television based.
That's okay. Go on, come on, you've got two more after you.
Oh, you interrupted me. I thought you would want to
No,
stop
no.
now.
I just wanted to
Jeez.
make sure that everybody knew that we weren't going to do this for the whole 2 hours.
Well, obviously not.
They're attached to this.
It's just a bit of fun. God. Capital of Paraguay.
I don't know. Again, this is the sort of stuff that I used to know when like
Actually,
table quizzes were a thing.
I remember there was a dull World Cup knockout game involving Paraguay at the 2010 World Cup, and Eamon Dunphy actually quizzed... Who was the presenter that day? Quizzed, anyway, the presenter about what the capital of Paraguay is. And the answer is Asuncion.
Oh, yeah, okay. Now it's ringing a 6th class geography bell.
There you go. And they use the Guarani.
Oh, yeah, never
Paper
getting that.
items.
Wow,
Right.
So,
never even heard of that.
Send us
I'm preparing you
the lowest denomination of all those notes home.
100%.
that'll be good. Shane Hannon's very good at the
Another
capitals game,
annoying
actually.
jobs for you to do. Like, oh my
Yours,
God, what a bunch. I have to go and... Can't believe I got to find the post office and buy a stamp. And, I'm not doing this.
Where would you find Santiago?
Chile.
Very good.
Chile
Bolivia?
dollar.
La Paz?
This isn't as good as you thought it was going to be in real life.
Well, it really involves the contestants. But if you're in Bolivia and say you're in Connemara, I'd like to borrow what from my tea?
Sugar? Milk?
Sucre.
Sucre. That's the... Okay. Sucre?
Sucre. And it's the...
It's the way you ask the
Boliviano.
questions.
It's pretty cool.
Okay,
That's our
nice.
currency. Are you going to any of these countries
Yes,
that I'm naming?
yes.
How many are you going to that I've named?
I plan to go to the most, if not all.
Okay. Well, now you're set.
What do you see? I have
Because you know the capitals and you know what to pay with.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks very much.
It's my going away present. What's
Nice
yours?
What?
That was my present to Owen. I've set him up now with knowledge about the capitals and what to pay with, because otherwise he would have been last.
I'm set now. thank you very much, guys. That was lovely.
Very good. Top 5 things quickly you're looking forward to the most? If you had to, like, are you going to do all the tourist stuff? Are you going to climb Machu Picchu and that stuff? Or are you going to like... Nah?
Yeah, I absolutely am. Like, I mean, it would be stupid not to do it because it's touristy stuff, wouldn't it? I'm obviously doing that. I'm really looking forward. I haven't done a top 5. I'm really looking forward to being in Argentina or Brazil when the World Cup is on. I can... I mean, this is a complete bias given my situation, but I think I'll be happier being there than being in Qatar, for example, and I think that'll be a really good experience. It's going to be weird, obviously. I think Argentina's first game is at like 1 a.m. their time. That's just the one country I've wanted to visit for the longest.
That might be an okay time for a match.
Absolutely, exactly, yeah. So I think it's those two things. I'm like, I think it'll be a good excuse to maybe just kind of hang around a little bit more. When I go abroad, I actually really like the idea of actually just chilling out with a coffee and actually doing what maybe people who live in the country actually do, as opposed to going to do touristy stuff all the time. But I want to do all that stuff as well, obviously. But yeah, I don't know why that kind of came to the top of my head. I guess because we're in a sports studio here.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think the World Cup, I think that'll be a good prism to watch it through.
What if they win? Like, what if...
Oh, well, that'll be unbelievable. Well, I do think if there is a South American winner or somebody in the final, I will obviously just fly to wherever is the best city in one of those countries just to see what that is like, because that would be kind of bucket list stuff to see what that is like. And if it's Argentina or Brazil, I think it'd be sensational no matter what sort of game they're in. Shame Colombia aren't there.
Don't know much about what day-to-day is like in Brazil at the moment.
Yeah, obviously it's a slight concern, and obviously same goes for Venezuela as well at the moment. So I will be prepared when I get that far, but it's going to be, I suspect, middle of October, closer to November before I'm in South America. Like I'm going via the States, everyone. So it's going to be a while before we get there.
All right, and how are people going to keep in touch, Eoin? What is the...
Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
You're going to become a TikTok star? Is that's why you've been slowly, steadily building up your TikTok over the last while, so that you can...
I haven't posted TikTok in a while now, but yeah, that's the ambition. If you've got any ideas for good TikTok content, then let me know.
I mean, you're
plenty.
Barking up the wrong tree there. Okay, so will Eoin be back to Team OTB at 93 Rubik's Cube? Will you, Eoin? This is on air.
Yes. I want to.
Oh, well, I mean...
You never know.
We'll see how broken our hearts are.
I think Team OTB has recovered and morphed from much bigger departures in the past throughout its entire 20-year existence, and has actually managed to improve and managed to...
shots fired.
Yeah.
Owen's firing the shot. The second captain's there on his way out the door.
Not at all.
And we improved after they left.
No,
wow.
That's not the only big departure. I mean... it disimproved after that, obviously, and then it just improved after other departures.
Whoa, dropping the truth bombs. Here we go. It's 7:43 this morning. That's the bit that's being clipped and flashed around.
Well, I can tell you
Anybody
one thing.
else in Irish media you want to get stuff off your chest?
I can tell you one thing for sure. The show is going to improve after I go. That was my point. There was no other point being made.
Oh, wow. Memory Warrior says, I think you leaving the show comes with too much emotional baggage, Eoin. You may just stay.
Yeah, possibly.
Donald Doyle, I can't believe today's Eoin's last day. Been a constant in my mornings for so long. Brilliant fella. Can't wait to see his face be the first to be unveiled on the OTB AM Mount Rushmore. Enjoy the trip.
Oh my God, that's a great idea.
Oh, where were you last week when we needed it? We don't have enough time to get that mocked up. If anybody out there is good at bad photoshops, then you've got about an hour left to knock that one together.
Please, that'd be great. Thank you.
Bobby Dwyer says, all the best, Eoin. You'll be missed.
Miss you too, Bobby.
We'll get a North London derby in when you're back. Safe travels.
Yeah, 100%.
Porrick Stack says, so fill to me the parting glass and drink a health, whatever befalls, then gently rise and softly call, good night, and joy be with you all. God bless. Good night. Are you going to sing it out for us?
That's gorgeous.
What is your parting piece for us today? How are you going to sing us out?
I don't really think that's going to...
Bet you look good on the dance floor.
Exactly, yeah.
Give us a few bars there, Eoin, says Porrick Stack.
Ken agrees.
Yeah, I'll just something along those lines, or Seven Nation Army. Just literally sing the guitar riff as my mic is slowly killed.
Best of luck, Eoin. Loved watching you every morning for the last few years, says Jason Hurley. Can we get a weekly update slot from Eoin's travels? Asks Ciara Hudson. If he's alive, I think we should.
Yeah,
100%. Someone suggested that actually.
Yeah.
Recently.
Let's do it.
Morning, lads. Enjoy yourself, Eoin. Remember, we're only here for a visit, so have the time of your life, kid. Eoin could send a report back to the show every month, like Uncle Travelling Matt Fraggle, says Memory Warrior. You are my spirit animal there. The lads are looking at you blankly going, what?
Is that something to do with Fraggle Rock?
Yes.
Ah, nice, okay.
Do you have a vague recollection of Fraggle Rock?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's a bit before my time, but I know what it is.
Well, at the end of every episode, Uncle Travelling Matt, who had escaped Fraggle Rock and now lived with the humans, would write back this postcard that they would read, and they would imagine what was going on, and then we would see what was going on, and what was Uncle Travelling Matt thought was going on was very different from reality. He was like, oh, these mad, crazy creatures, and it was like a stupid dog. And actually, he was basically in the gaff up above. He hadn't gone very far. So, you know, maybe you can like sit in an apartment in Miami and, oh, hey, look, here I am in Asuncion with the whatever, the Zloty, and
or just do it from Collins Avenue.
Maybe. John Mars says, best of luck, Owen, and many thanks. Sheehan will live on forever. I can't believe it. Want to run to you. Really can't believe this, says Brian. John Claffey says, all the best, Owen. Safe travels. Does Colm have a carer? Asks Richard Redballs.
Yeah.
Or maybe he means career. I'm not sure. The bad spelling on YouTube is...
I don't know which is worse there. To be honest, I'll probably take carer. I have work experience.
Brian Slattery says, flag at half-mast here today. And EH says, good to see disposable coffee cups being used. They're not. We've got...
No, this is just
ceramic.
Me.
Oh, it's Colm.
Yeah, it's just me, but it's Brayburn. Sweet coffee.
Now, we moved away from the disposable. We're anti-disposable.
Yeah, we're going to get away from that.
Yeah.
You know what I just realised? You're in a favourable time zone for the US Open.
That's right.
And there's already been some shocks.
There has.
Stefanos Tsitsipas is gone. Simona Halep is gone. Some more shocks to come in the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
You'll be watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck on the travel zone. Are you going on a scouting mission for Arteta? Asks David Tomney.
Yeah, that's definitely it's a good option there.
All right. Good luck, Owen, and safe travels, says Brandon Pang. And where's this one here? Best of luck, Owen. OTB AM helped me get through lockdown. Owen will be sadly missed, says Stephen J.
Thanks, Stephen. And yeah, I think OTB AM probably helped us get through lockdown a little bit, to be honest. Having that reason to get out of bed in the morning was actually something that kind of was a little bit true during those 2 years.
It was symbiotic. We definitely fed off the fact that there were people. We pushed the start time back a little bit, did we?
Yeah.
I remember, like, oh, do we need to get up at 7:30? There's no one watching. And then we started at like 9 o'clock. Did we do 9 to 10:30?
What? When?
During lockdown.
At the very start, there was definitely a bit of a fluid kind of movement to the start time.
Did it move at 8? To 8?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it would have been a very that would have been.
Why do we start at
a really bad couple of months had it not been for the show.
You're old enough to just about remember Fraggle Rock. Do you remember This Is Your Life with Eamon Andrews? And
again, don't remember, but I know what it is.
Well, they would get people out and go,
yeah.
Well, Owen Sheahan, this is your life. So we're calling in Mum and Dad John and Carmel and brother and sister Cian and Kerry.
Jeez.
Hi guys, how are you?
You can't do this to me.
We can. How are you? I hope the sound is on. Is it? Can you guys hear us all right?
We can hear you.
Oh, we can hear you fine, yes.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Well, Kerry, I want to start with you. I want to say thanks very much for organising it, that your graduation was on the same day as David Clifford, because it gave us a perfect laugh.
No problem.
And it established Owen as the #1 David Clifford fan in the country.
Great.
Carmel, how are you getting on?
Grand John's get a germ. How are you keeping?
Yeah, very good. Good to see you again. And tell me, what do you think of his travels and his plans? Did he keep you informed about exactly where he's going and what he's up to?
A little bit. We know a little bit. We gradually know a little bit more every day.
As we drag it out of him,
it just all goes well, like, yeah.
As we drag it out of him on the show, and he's like, "Oh, come on, don't be telling anybody about this."
This is people have got the studio back. I mean, those famous shutters from working from home here. We were just talking about it there. So great to see the studio back in action.
Cian, I want to say thanks to you for organising this and not telling your brother. I'm sure the temptation was, oh, did you know they're setting up a call? But thank you very much for not doing that for us.
No.
I see you're as embarrassed as you've ever been. You're completely refusing to talk to your own family.
Yeah, well, like, I've been speaking to them the last few days. This is just very kind of out of the blue and a bit of a shock, to be quite honest. So this is your life. I wasn't fully familiar with what it is. Now I am, and it's obviously quite it's just an effort to just bring everybody back from the past. I don't know, but this is a good start. This is really nice. So thanks for organising this,
John. I think you're important in terms of making Owen an Arsenal fan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I'd say PJ's was bought back in the days, and he was hooked after that. I think he had no choice in the matter.
That's all it took, and you probably took him to his first game there. Would that be right?
I did. Yeah, we went to the old Highbury Stadium there, and actually Wembley, I think, was actually, if I remember right, it was a community shield against United in 1999, with he being his first Arsenal game actually.
Very good.
It was a draw on the same day. He would have seen Vieira and Roy Keane playing at that time.
Arsenal won that day, definitely, because
that day they did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
2-1 to the Arsenal. Remember that, the old Wembley. Probably only time in the old Wembley, actually, yeah, because we were obviously living in London at the time, so that was probably like a handy enough trip down to Wembley at the time. So, yeah, those Arsenal PJs, absolutely key.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when he came to Ireland, his first All Ireland would have been 2000. The All Ireland final replay of 2000. We couldn't get to the first game because the Hogan stand was being done up at the time, and we went to the replay against Galway. The great Seamus Minor was captain, and Owen's cousin, Maurice Fitzgerald, was outstanding in midfield that day.
And is that the famous picture of Owen and Maurice Fitz?
That would be
probably
it, I'd say, yes.
We've seen one of those before, yeah. We don't have it.
Yeah, no, thank God. Yeah, that was 2000. Yeah, so that was a pretty interesting summer actually, because it was replays in the semi-final and the final, and just those first early memories. Like I remember being at the Community Shield right in '99. That's probably like the earliest one. No recollection of any Kerry game until I think maybe Munster in 2000. So yeah, good times to be fair. It's almost as if like those good times aren't going to keep coming.
Well, that's the thing. It's I don't know. Maybe John, you might be able to confirm that Owen made his decision before Kerry won the All Ireland, and this isn't like I can ride off into the sunset now. My work here is done.
No, it was done before the All Ireland. All right, but he was like every Kerry man, Ger. We were confident we were going to win the All Ireland.
Don't out me like that. I mean, this is the whole.
Thank you. Finally.
I mean, the whole thing is that we're not supposed to win it. So this is you pulled back the veil too much on the Kerry Mafia and the inner workings. Of course, of which there is no mafia.
Exactly. That's the first rule. They don't exist. Well, listen. Thanks very much for being such good sports this morning and joining us and helping us to embarrass Owen, but also to show him that the love that he's got multiple families here, his TV family, and you guys at home. And thanks a million for joining us. Cheers.
Good luck, everyone.
Chat to you soon.
See you guys.
Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks for doing that.
There you go. Look, good people.
Yeah, very good people, to be fair.
Yeah,
I'm biased.
Yeah, that's all right. You're allowed to be biased. Shane Hannon, good morning to you.
Morning, lads. How are things?
What's going on?
How am I supposed to follow that?
Maybe by turning on your mic.
Well, that would be a start.
I would say, how was anybody supposed to follow the poem last week, Shane? Yeah, that was a nice touch.
I should be with you now very shortly.
Very shortly, but not yet.
Very shortly, I'll get there.
Maybe Owen's dad can replace him, says Bill. Haha.
Are we there yet?
Yes.
No, I was just saying, how am I supposed to follow that? I mean, they throw me in after your entire family has been on to say congratulations and farewell. I do like, we can talk about anything else, and I know I'm here to talk about Formula 1, but I have a tattoo here, Owen, on my ribs. It's the handwriting of the last man to walk on the moon, Captain Gene Cernan, my own particular hero, as you know, big space geek. It's our destiny to explore. It's his handwriting. So I interviewed him in 2013 over in Birmingham, and I said, when he dies, because after we spoke and sat down, he sent me a photograph of him on the moon that said, to Shane, it's our destiny to explore, Gene Cernan. And I said, when he dies, I'm going to get that handwritten on my body. Died in 2017, and the rest is on my body for the remainder of my life. But I think it's a nice mantra to have, and I think anytime you're in doubt over there and having a moment, I think you should think about that fact that it is our destiny as a human race to explore. So
probably gonna have many moments. Tattoo in the ribcage is a painful one.
Yeah, it was a sore one. To be fair, you could pick probably more comfortable places to get tattoos.
Somewhere the fleshy part of the thigh.
Well, yeah, you could do that as well. But not that there's any easy place to get one. But you'll probably come back with a tattoo, Owen.
Hopefully, yeah. Like, I mean, I love tattoos, but I don't really feel like I'm a tattoo guy. So,
like G-Mac.
Yeah, it's just there's a bit of a distance there somehow. I need to try and close that gap. Don't know how.
Well, some people have had some ideas on our messages over the last while. How that gap might be bridged on your holidays.
Some of the comments, I know you've gone through a few of the comments. My favourite one from this morning, hopefully you haven't.
Just don't get your face tattooed.
Yeah, please don't do that. Mike Tyson job. Shane will live on forever. I can't believe it. Want to run to you. Really can't believe this. Some people are seriously emotional in the comments, and I understand that. It's for those people at home who watch every day when you're like a member of their family. You're in their living room every day, or in their car.
Yeah.
Sounds creepy when you put it like that, but no, they're all big fans.
No, they're also kind of the feeling is very mutual. I think it's fair to say. We talk about some Formula One.
That's why you're here, is it?
Partly so. Yeah. We'll talk Formula One. we have to talk sport, I suppose, to keep people happy as well.
I mean, do we? People can decide. You can tell us your favourite Eoin memories, and if there's anything out there that we can dig up in the meantime, we will try and do that for you. 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. You can get us on that. You can also leave a comment on the YouTube stream or tweet us at Off the Ball. Are those mugs strategically placed to advertise that coffee brand? Lol. Yes, they are. Right. Well spotted. They are. That is specifically why they are there.
Secret is out.
They are our friends at Braeburn. They are our official coffee partner, and we love them. When in Argentina, check out a tattoo artist called Naza. His work is incredible. So maybe that can be
the guy.
Your treat to yourself when Argentina win. Stephen in Dublin 3 says, at least a month ago I was thinking to myself on the way to work how much worse my mornings would be if Ger or Eoin left OTB AM. I'm sorry everyone, I thought this into reality. Come on Stephen, delighted for you. Share the lotto numbers with us. Best of luck Eoin, he says. Good luck in your new chapter, Eoin. Pleasure to listen to many of your shows over the years. Whilst on your travels, will you be doing an odd vlog for YouTube? Be good to follow your journey. He's going to become a content creator / influencer, and this will be the end of him in this format forever. He'll be like too big for us, He'll be living on a diet of free protein bars and cheap jewellery.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can get rich off like 500 views on a weekly YouTube video, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So some people seem to manage it.
Well, that is certainly the dream.
Right. Tell us about the weekend. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was quite enjoyable to watch. It brought back a little bit of minor PTSD for me, lads, watching Spa as you would say, Eoin, of course, down in Kerry.
Got rained off last year, right?
Rained off. I mean, to pick Spa last year as your first ever Formula One experience with a few mates, we were thinking, I took a lot of the blame for it because it was my idea to go to the Belgian Grand Prix in particular, because I said it's always a great race, it's historic, so much happens at the Belgian Grand Prix every year, and it's in the middle of the Ardennes forest, lovely region. I was chatting to John on Saturday's show about it, and the fact that it's in the Ardennes forest, that region, at least we got some World War II history out of it. If anyone who's seen Band of Brothers, the town of Bastogne and different areas around there that were quite prominent in World War II, a lot of fighting was seen in that area. But yeah, the day itself was just a complete washout. The rain, ironically enough, was one of the reasons I picked Spa last year, because it often makes it an exciting race.
And then they cheated you out of the refunds, didn't they?
Like they said what they were going to do was essentially over a period of months tell us what our refund was going to look like, and then in the end they just sent us an email that said everyone basically is put into a draw, and a few people will win free tickets for what was last week. So literally nothing. I mean, 5-10 people maybe got free tickets. It was a farce. But the day itself, I had 3 very angry mates with me that day, trying as I held on for dear life, trying to pray for a couple of laps and maybe the rain to cease a little bit. But I still wouldn't put people off going to the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's been confirmed over the weekend to return for the 2023 calendar. Some people were surprised at that. Might be a stay of execution for the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. But for historical reasons, I love it, and I really want it to stay. But I mean, 360,000 people attended it there on Sunday, which was a record for that race. And the traffic management issues around the Spa circuit, like I said, it's in the middle of the Ardennes forest. Getting away from it back into whatever city you're staying in Belgium is quite difficult. Like we struggled. We were very, very lucky in the rain to find a taxi after a couple of hours. People were just trying to haul ass getting out of that area. And they said they had fixed those issues this year, but apparently the word on the ground over in Belgium was that it was as bad as ever, the gridlock trying to get out of there. There's even in the paddock, there's stairs that are known as this metal staircase, the stairs of death. So just the paddock is a small enough area in the Belgian Grand Prix, so it's in 2 levels. And these stairs, I mean, teams and crew members are having to walk up and down these death trap stairs all the time on the paddock, which is just unheard of. And then there's the fact that in Spa you can't get from the VIP area and the paddocks and stuff without using a car, and Formula One are very they have these sustainability plans. They want to be basically net zero carbon by 2030, and that's one of their things. There'll be no cars to traffic crew members and stuff from the course. So Spa has its issues, but as a circuit, it's definitely an historical one, and I'm glad it's on the calendar even for one more year.
The first thing you go to after an event like that on Sunday is just the beef between any two drivers that you can possibly find. Is Alonso versus Hamilton the beef of the weekend?
Yeah, like, and this is I love when some of the older guys kind of touch on that track, like especially when it's Vettel or Alonso or Hamilton, you know, because you know there's a history there. It's obviously not the first time it's happened between them, and when it's on the first lap as well. And Hamilton's been going quite well recently. Like George Russell, his Mercedes teammate for this year, has been Mr. Consistency. He's been getting all of these top 5 finishes, and again, you know, he finished 4th in Spa on Sunday. But Hamilton on the first lap, and it's funny listening to the radio, and on Sky Sports now we only get a certain selection of the car radio. We don't get a full picture, but we certainly get the highlights and the best bits. But so Hamilton essentially was trying to take the racing line behind Alonso, hits into him, and I mean, Hamilton's excuse was that he was in my blind spot, I didn't see him. But the point was, Hamilton should have and did know he was there. So over the radio, Hamilton's given it loads, saying that wasn't my fault. Alonso is kind of, and I love seeing this as well in a Formula 1 race, Alonso's driving past him, waving the finger, and that's all they can do. That's his way of saying, you were wrong, I was right. And to be fair to Hamilton, people love him or hate him. I've said on this show before, he is like Marmite, but as soon as he saw the interview or the incident back on camera in one of his post-race interviews, he held his hands up and said, okay, to be fair, that was my fault. And that's a good sign from Hamilton as well, because maybe a few years ago he mightn't have done that. But Hamilton is a very fair driver. He's known as a driver that doesn't actively go out and seek bumper car incidents, a bit like Max Verstappen maybe would have over the years, and been a bit more on the edge of a driver. But I love seeing that stuff, like seeing a little bit of Hamilton and Alonso action. It just adds a little bit of and you want to see that at Spa as well, because the race itself was a formality in the end. Like the big news ahead of the race and into qualifying and stuff was that 8 drivers were essentially taking grid penalties. There were engine parts missing and stuff, and sometimes it's akin to footballers taking the yellow card ahead of a big game. They kind of get this out of the way, get the grid penalties out of the way. So a lot of them took it at the Belgian Grand Prix. It meant that ultimately Verstappen started from 13th position, but he was so dominant in qualifying. I don't know how anyone wasn't predicting him to win the race, even from 13th. He could have started at the back of the grid and quite comfortably have won this race on Sunday, such as his dominance. So that's kind of, it's worrying for the sport in some ways, but you can't take away from how great a driver Max Verstappen is.
Well, I've got to ask you, the Monaghan job, Ger Brennan is the latest, and it looks like it's his if he wants it. I think we're kind of at that stage of things. Obviously, the name is leaked out, and they probably wouldn't have let that happen if they weren't relatively confident that he's going to get it. So, very young, progressive manager who's going to be very in touch with the modern trends of the game, but inexperienced at this level. So what's the word on the street in Monaghan?
Yeah, like, I'm glad to see an outside manager. I think after Banty, there was probably a need for an outside manager, and possibly a need for the players as well to maybe keep some incentive and some motivation. I know there's a couple of players. Look, every county has players who depart year on year. There's word within the county that Ryan McInnesby and Niall Cairns are 2 players who could be off to Australia for a bit of travelling. So that's 2 big losses for the Monaghan team next year. Conor McManus and Darren Hughes aren't getting any younger. But I mean, Ger Brennan is an interesting one. The whole process with Jason Sherlock and Brendan Hackett and Mark Coonahan was a complete balls up, and there's no 2 ways of avoiding that. I don't know why they both, and when I say they both, Sherlock and Hackett pulled out of the running. There's talk that was the interview process done correctly? I don't know. I know there was talk that maybe they sat down with some players either before or after they sat down with county board members.
The managers, as in the managers, or the selection committee.
So Sherlock, so the actual candidates sat down with players, which to me is a little bit strange. I don't think the players should have any say whatsoever in who the manager is.
It's hard to know, like it is hard to know. It is.
Well, maybe you give experienced players, and there's Darren Hughes, Rory Beggan, Conor McManus. There's players in that team like Colin Walsh who maybe deserve a say in some ways.
I'd like to hear what they have to think, and are they going to come back? Are they not going to come back? It's so fraught because so much politics is involved, as we know, from the managerial selection, and it completely dictates in an amateur sport like this, it completely dictates how successful or otherwise a county is going to be for a long time. So
it's a funny one, and the fact that those two lads pulled out, and then obviously Mark Coonahan was left as the only candidate, and they decided not to offer him the job. Like, Mark is a fantastic coach. He has an unbelievable Gaelic brain. Relatively unknown outside the county, I would say. Like, he's the outgoing minor manager. He taught me in school, in fact, in St McCartan's College in Monaghan. Like, he's a lovely lad. But maybe they thought it was maybe a wee bit early, coming out of minors straight into the senior setup. I don't know, was that the thinking in not offering him the job? But it just left a little bit of a bad taste in the mouth when someone is the last candidate standing and he doesn't get the role. Maybe they wanted a manager from outside, and that's why Ger Brennan got the call. I'd be fascinated to see what Ger Brennan's backroom team is, because that's a crucial thing. Monaghan have had a very good backroom team in Donny Buckley and the lads over the last few years. Unfortunately, didn't lead them back into winning an Ulster title, but he's cut his teeth with Murfield. I know they lost to Sarsfields yesterday, so maybe that's why the story is probably gathering pace now, because he's probably clear to progress after the Kildare Championship exit. I assume it was a pre-quarter final, I think, with Murfield, so I assume that means they're out of the running now. They won they beat Round Towers, I think, last week in the relegation playoff. So I want to see Ger Brennan's backroom team, but he brings the name. He brings he's done great things at UCD as well as the head of Gaelic Games, the 2 Sickerson Cups after such a barren spell, and the players will all know him. And look, you mentioned the fact that he's had no inter-county experience, and yeah, that's right in terms of a top role. But he's been on the backroom team there with Carlo and O'Neill Carew. He's probably learned a lot of things. So very interested to see how that goes.
All right, okay. Shane, stay with us for a minute here. We have the comments rolling in thick and fast. My favourite one here is Hanoi Tripper. Why is Owen leaving? And Briar says he's joining AFTV apparently. Hanoi Tripper goes, what's AFTV? Briar goes, Arsenal Fan TV. Ah, okay, cool, says Hanoi Tripper. A shame, though.
Yeah, oh my God, that would be quite the career move, especially after the experience outside the Tottenham Stadium last year with my red microphone, and a lot of Arsenal fans thought I was from Arsenal Fan TV, and one Arsenal fan came up to me and he was like, put your effing stupid microphone away, you effing see you next Tuesday.
Wow.
Arsenal fans don't like it.
Unbelievably. Well, I wasn't rolling. I don't film like strangers walking past. I do ask for a permission. Can I speak to you? And that's how I was met, because they thought I had an AFTV mic. Of course, the Tottenham fans were very generous. They're like, oh, look at this guy from AFTV. Let's go in.
I didn't realise it was controversial with Arsenal. I thought Arsenal fans would just accept it as a thing that happened.
Yeah, also
Arsenal fans and AFTV. No, I don't think that relationship is
good anymore. No.
Right.
They make too much money off the back of it. All right. Well, surely now everything is good. Everybody's loving each other again, no?
Well, I think their view would be, oh, now you're back in the bandwagon again after, making your money on misery.
Yeah, but they also helped to... Anyway.
I certainly think that. I think that people are a little bit too harsh on them, but yeah.
Once saw owner the Foles concert, says Cormac Divley. From then on I realised he was all right. Best of luck. There you go. That's
great band.
The imprimatur of approval. Absolutely gutted. He was a great addition, says Johnny Bananas. Favourite own memory came just last week when he interviewed United fans on the way to Old Trafford in the mass protest, says Dan Delaney. And then Anthony Ryan, mansplaining it to you. Owen should know that South America is huge, and getting from one country to another is expensive.
I do realise that throw away there as World Cup final, Brazil, Argentina, tomato, I'll just flitter around wherever. I do realise I didn't give due respect to the 5th biggest country in the world and the 8th biggest country in the world. I
have to say to you, Owen, when I was talking about Spa there, it did cross my mind that Sunday, November 13th, the Brazilian Grand Prix, second last race of the season, is in Sao Paulo, Interlagos circuit. Very famous circuit, a lot of famous, I think it was Massa and Hamilton in 08 when Hamilton finished 5th to clinch the world title. A lot of history there.
Yeah.
The Senna S after the long straight, so obviously Ayrton Senna, the famous Brazilian. So if you're in anywhere, if you can be in the Sao Paulo vicinity for November 13th that weekend,
I have it on a bullet point on a Google Doc for sure. I was like, these are the things that are happening.
Stick it down.
Yeah.
Get to a Grand Prix, and that's the second last one. Look, Verstappen would probably have it sewn up by that point, but it's still a historic circuit and one to see in person, I think.
Okay, nice one.
Shaky Amo, not vibing.
This is the comment that this is the stuff that I've been hungry for this morning. This is possibly the greatest comment I've ever received.
Good riddance. One less George Hook carbon copy to listen to. May the journey be long and one way. Now for the other one to find his inner peace and move on. Peace is spelled P-I-E-C-E. So.
Where has Shaky Amo been all this time? Has he been a hay watcher? And he's finally I can't hold it in anymore. Thank you for your comment, Shaky Emo.
Come to bed, love. I can't say I'm getting angry on the internet. Oh, she's leaving, and I need to tell him I think he's George Huck.
Made a journey be long in one way. That is
harsh. I'm
going to need that tattooed to my ribs.
Yeah. Long in one way. That is, yeah. Some people want to watch the world burn, I think.
Yeah.
Owen Delaney says, OTB won't be the same without you, Owen. It'll be significantly better. I think this is a Badoom Tish. He seems to know you, though. All the best. You've come a long way from Gateway Student Village.
Oh, Owen Delaney from I do know Owen Delaney. Jesus, yeah. Yeah, bloody hell. Thanks for the message. Just because it's kind of like
what's this picture?
Oh, this is a picture. This picture obviously needs context immediately.
Ashley Cole on the left.
This is Catherine
Murphy.
It works literally. For us. Catherine Murphy works for us. Sent me this picture. So when I was in DCU, I used to do campus tours and as a student ambassador, and Catherine Murphy was obviously there with her school on a campus tour, and at the end of the tour, their teacher wanted to get a photograph of them on the tour, and she was like, stand in there for the photo.
You were like, yeah, not too close though.
Yeah.
Leave room for the Holy Spirit.
You look like a substitute teacher that's just started, just cut his teeth. He's very nervous. But fair play.
I mean, he doesn't. He looks like a fifth year who's stolen a DCU jumper and somehow like talked himself into giving a tour.
Yeah. It was a great job. You know, it was like. Catherine standing outside there now. I'm sure she was scarred by the memory of me giving a campus tour.
My mother's a big fan of Eoin Sheahan. She tunes in mostly,
look at this one.
Mostly to see you, Owen.
That's also in DCU. Yeah, that was in the Irish Independent. I think the headline on that piece was, yes, everybody dreams of working abroad. So, and yet here I am, 7 years later.
The irony, yeah.
It's like, this guy is clearly getting ready to emigrate. When I was in my final year of college. It's just, will you hold up 2 microphones there? Will you do something radio based?
Yeah.
Owen 2 Jags, we called him Owen 2 Mics. And then look, it's the longest going away of all time.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Today is the end.
Today is the end. Okay. Right. We'll come back to some of those comments that are rolling in. 12 minutes past 8. If you want to get in touch this morning, we'd love to hear from you. 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. We're going to take a quick break, but after the break we're going to be joined by the New Zealand Herald journalist Gregor Paul as the pressure returns and resumes on Ian Foster. First, here's Kenny Cunningham with one of the all-time great goodbyes.
Owen, I'm worried about you. Sounds like you're having a nervous breakdown to me. Only gap year students take a year out and go travelling the world. You're in your mid-30s, stroke early 40s. Nobody knows your age. I'm going to give you my number. I'm going to give you the number to the Samaritans. When you're at your lowest ebb, phone either one. I prefer you phone the Samaritans. Come back to us, lad. But there's no rush. Come back in one piece. Take care.
OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
Have you subscribed to the OTB Football Podcast?
When I was a nipper, I used to think that Daleks were the most evil creatures in the universe. I'd never heard of the Glazers then.
In Ole's team, he had to play as a number 10 because there was no one else really creating anything. So he was just like constant Hollywood passes. He did a lot of running about, but he was basically in the team to make goals happen.
If you think about the traditional front three, including Firmino, they were close to each other, and it just seems systematically right now Liverpool are not clicking.
Subscribe now to the OTB Football Podcast stream wherever you get your podcasts and download the OTB Sports app.
If your business relies on a van, that wouldn't sound good. But this does. Get up to 75% off van insurance. Now available in FBD branches nationwide. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. 75% no claims discount based on 5 years claims free. Available on new van policies. Used for farm or business purposes. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance PLC. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
Right, it's 14 minutes past 8. The Rugby Championship has been tumultuous so far, and none more so than the weekend just passed, where Argentina finally got their first victory on New Zealand soil. And I'm delighted to say Gregor Paul is back with us. Gregor, we thought a corner had been turned, a tide had somehow shifted, that all was well and had been righted in the world of the All Blacks, and then Argentina rolled into town and just punched them in the eye. What happened?
Yeah, don't know. did think that a corner had been turned. Didn't see that one coming. I don't think anyone saw that coming. We were all labouring under this misapprehension that if you can win in Ellis Park, you're not that broken. Turns out we weren't right with that. Felt also the fact that the New Zealand Rugby Board backed Ian Foster after they won at Ellis Park, finally came out and said, look, this guy, he's our guy. We're going to back him through the World Cup. Joe Schmidt came on board properly with a kind of proper position where he's hands-on with the team now. We all felt that this is it. They're going to suddenly kind of click into gear and be the All Blacks that we all know. And then once they went back to probably their worst performance of the year, worse than anything we saw against Ireland. Couldn't capitalise on the pressure that they built, couldn't attack after they'd taken the ball out of a very powerful set piece. Fell apart completely, and goodness me, here we are now. Argentina have done what Ireland did this year and won their first game here in New Zealand, and we are really struggling for answers as to what's going on.
Yeah, we were certainly having some conversations about, do we need to revisit just how historically great our achievement was that we went down and beat this New Zealand team of all teams, because it doesn't feel like they're now... It doesn't feel like they're a successor to the great New Zealand teams of the past. What's the response been like amongst the New Zealand rugby public and the followers of the game, the professionals in the sport who aren't actually involved in the team? What's the consensus at the moment?
Well, I think the consensus is if we don't get a victory this weekend, then there really are problems to be dealing with, and the position of Ian Foster becomes untenable because they cannot keep losing at the rate that they are. I think, though, there's probably, I can't speak for everyone else, but I'm beginning to wonder, look, COVID, and this is not about excuse making for anyone. This is actually, a realistic appraisal of what's happened here. Is COVID affected the world, but it probably impacted the Southern Hemisphere more than it did the North, in that it blew up rugby as we knew it in terms of competition structure. So the breakup of Super Rugby has been way more dramatic than perhaps any of us have realised. Because if you look at the Southern Hemisphere results, while the All Blacks are having a terrible season, Ian Foster's results are actually way better than Jacques Niembar's results are with South Africa. They're way better than Dave Rennie's results, and they're way better than Argentina's results, although Michael Cheika's sort of polishing that up a wee bit for them. But if you actually look at it, all four of them are really, really struggling. And they all struggled at the end of year two when they went up north last year. I'm beginning to wonder if it's going to take them a little bit longer to readjust to life with Super Rugby not being what it was, with the South Africans playing up in your part of the world, our guys here playing just against the Australians and the Pacific Island sides. There's probably a little bit of, or maybe a lot of long-term damage that's been caused by that. And it might take the whole of this World Cup cycle for the Southern Hemisphere guys to really find their feet again.
That's a really interesting theory because, you guys obviously had a much more strenuous lockdown than we did as well. Ours was bad, but yours was brutal. And maybe we're just seeing that wash through the system, which I guess would give you some sense that actually this too will pass, that those competition structures will hopefully get better. Maybe the South African teams going from Super Rugby is actually a terminal blow to the ability to dominate, but certainly you would expect things to improve over the next 6-12 months.
Yeah, look, I think so. I mean, you can't park it all on COVID and say, well, it's a competition breakup that's the problem. That's not true to say that. It's certainly been a problem, and it's probably going to take them a little bit longer to work their way out of it. There are other issues, clearly, that they're having to deal with, such as we're not sure at the moment whether all of the personnel on the field for the All Blacks are the right guys anymore. Beginning to wonder whether one or two, or maybe even 3 or 4 of them have maybe just passed their best, and there's a failure here to recognise that, to move them on. I don't think that the All Blacks have been particularly good at rejuvenating, giving younger players opportunity to come into the team and play. We saw that with Ireland when they were here, that they were quite happy to take the opportunity to throw younger guys out onto the field to give them game time. And that's clearly worked for them because it's put pressure on the incumbent guys to raise their level. And, Ireland went home with a lot of questions answered about the 30-odd players that they took here, they got a really good feel for it because they were brave enough to give them game time. We haven't seen that in New Zealand yet. They've kind of stuck rigidly by, Whitelock, Retallick, Sam Cane, Bowden Barrett. These guys have been dominating the game time, and we're beginning to wonder whether not all of them are the right guys to be on the field at the moment.
The coaching ticket, right? The injection of Joe Schmidt into it seemed to be one of those decisions that a board makes, and that conversation is now over. But as you say, lose again next weekend, and all of a sudden it gets reopened. It kind of has to be reopened if they were to lose again back to Argentina. What would the alternative be here?
Well, the alternative is kind of ground zero, really, and that's wiping out pretty much the entirety of the coaching team, including Joe, the management team, probably a handful of senior players, because the only alternative is to go with Scott Robertson, the highly successful Crusaders coach. And, his vision for this team is to blow it up. He thinks it's broken, and he thinks that the whole thing from, head coach down to masseur, that just needs to be cleaned out, and he wants to start again, which comes at quite high risk to make a change this late in the World Cup cycle. It comes with a lot of expense. It comes with a probability that for him to build his coaching team, he's going to be pulling a lot of head coaches out of Super Rugby, which means that next year, Super Rugby is going to be difficult for a number of New Zealand teams if he puts together the coaching team that he wants. But at the end of it, you kind of look at all those risks against, well, can the All Blacks really be sitting on a 25% win ratio, which they are at the moment for the last 8 test matches, against the cost and the risk of, what Razor wants to do with the team. So that's what the board are going to have to weigh up. And my feeling here is if they lose again, going ground zero is by far and away the better option. Yep, it'll be traumatic, it'll be expensive, it'll be high risk, but it has to happen because we've reached a point where it cannot be any worse. Do you know what I mean? We've reached the point where you kind of have to make a change, because you're of the view here that if you don't, where are New Zealand going to be in the World Cup? Well, if New Zealand had to play Ireland in a quarter-final at the moment, well, who do you think would win?
I'm not sure. It's really interesting that New Zealand Rugby came out and I guess essentially backed Ian Foster before these tests with Argentina. Does that speak to maybe a lack of respect shown towards Argentina, where they were like, okay, we've ridden out the worst of this summer now. We've played South Africa. We've got those 2 tests. It gets easier now, and obviously it didn't.
No, look, I don't think so. I think they pre-agreed. The end of the South African series was a juncture that they'd pre-agreed at the end of last year. They would have a reset moment of looking and reviewing about where they were. So no, I don't necessarily believe that. I think they've been reluctant to make that. They only had a 7-day window from getting back from South Africa to reassembling to play Argentina. So you had to be a little bit careful about that. If you're going to make a lot of changes, you're going to do them really, really quickly. I think we talked about this the last time, because the critical thing that happened here is that Joe Schmidt was persuaded to take a more significant role with the team. And that persuaded the board. Look, if you look at what, where did Joe coach predominantly in the Northern Hemisphere? Who are the All Blacks going to probably have to beat to advance in the World Cup? Well, we know they're going to play France in the pool games. Highly suspect they're going to play either Ireland or South Africa in a quarter-final. And then probably, looking at it, potentially you get England in a semi-final if they get that far. And who knows, probably France back in a final if they keep getting that far. So you look at what Joe understands. He understands Six Nations rugby. He built Ireland teams that knew how to take on France, how to beat England, how to beat Wales, how to beat these Northern Hemisphere teams. And that's what's been missing in New Zealand's diet because of COVID. They haven't really had that exposure. And probably while he's been out of the scene for a wee while, he presumably still has a little bit of insight into how Ireland is set up and how they're playing the game and the players and the weaknesses and strengths of the players there. And if you think, well, they're probably on a crash course potentially to play Ireland in a quarter-final, Joe becomes all important to them because he brings that intel, that insight that the current setup just simply doesn't have. So once he agreed, that really pushed the board into a position of saying, well, anything that's got Joe Schmidt in it, any coaching group, is the one that we want to go with. And look, my understanding is I don't think Joe was willing to work necessarily with anyone else because he felt a loyalty to Ian Foster, who'd invite him into the team and who'd give him the opportunity. And Joe, as you guys will know, is a man of principle, and I think that's how he felt. He wasn't willing to work anywhere else other than with this group of people that had invited him in.
The Scott Robertson template for blowing everybody up, from the Masseur to some of the senior players, how is that public? Has he said that publicly, that that's what his vision for the future would look like?
No, I don't think he has. I think that's we're kind of assuming that. I shouldn't have said that quite as boldly as I did, but I think he wants to bring his own people in. He wants to be given carte blanche to set this team up the way that he does, the way that he wants, rather. And look, I think there's a feeling that many observers have, is that you've got some management in that, people in that group who've been there for 18 years. And there is a feeling that some of them have been there too long and it's become a bit stale. And that, yeah, you can play around with your coaching team, but they kind of rot. And I don't mean that quite as offensively as it sounds. But you need to generate new ideas, new energy, new ways of thinking, not just in your coaching team, but all the way down through that management staff as well. So I think that's been Razor's view from day one, is that's where he wants to go. He wants to start again with his people.
I didn't realise he was quite so public about his ambitions to coach at international level. He says he wants to win 2 World Cups. He's going to be 52 by the time the next one rolls around. So he's open to offers from other countries. It was a real kind of, look, it's now or never for you guys if you want me to take this gig, because if you're going to put Joe Schmidt in and they go to the World Cup, then it looks very much like Schmidt will have at least a lead when it comes to being the coach next time round if the current coach was to go. So you can see why if you're England, you're having chats with him. You can see why if you're Wales, you're having chats with him. You can see why you're like, okay, this guy is like one of the greatest coaches that we've ever seen. The innovation that's coming off his team is absolutely phenomenal. The skill level, the absolute dedication that his players seem to have for him. The ringing endorsement he gets anytime one of his players speaks publicly about it. Anything Ron O'Gara's ever said has been like, I just picked that guy's brain. You're like, okay, he's available at the moment. It's mad.
It's entirely mad, and the timing is going to be unfortunate for New Zealand if they don't do something proactively about this. Because you're right, Razor made a smart PR move by basically saying, look, one way or the other, I'm going to coach an international rugby team. I'd ideally like it to be New Zealand, but if that's not available, look, come and get me, because I want to be at the next World Cup. And I would imagine that a number of international teams who will already be thinking, and England probably number one at the moment, who probably know for certain that Eddie Jones isn't going to be their coach in 2024, be thinking, jeepers, I know we want an Englishman, I know they've said that publicly, but hey, this guy's on the market. I know he's a Kiwi, but he's a bit of a genius. Look at his results. Look what he could do for us. And I wouldn't be surprised if England start talking to him now and put a hard offer in front of him February, March next year. And if you're Razor, what do? You get a hard offer from England to come and, play around with the best resourced international team in the world. Look at the players that they've got and the potential that they have. And you'd be looking at that going, wow, they're going to pay me this amount of money to come and coach this team against, I don't know what New Zealand are doing. I don't know whether I'm even going to have a chance at being the All Black coach after the World Cup, because maybe they've already offered Joe the job. Maybe they keep Foster on. I don't know what's going to happen here. So, gut feel, Razor will turn up on your side of the world, be it with England, be it with Wales, possibly Scotland, who knows. But he's not going to stay here if he gets offered a job that he's certain about. And it happens early next year.
Unless, of course, something happens this weekend that blows things up again.
Yeah, but
you can't see Argentina winning back-to-back tests, can we? Is that possible?
Well, if you asked me that last week, I'd have said no. You're asking me that this week, maybe. who knows? Like, I doubt it. It's very difficult to say. I mean, you'd be really, really kind of worried about what on earth is going on with the All Blacks if they cannot bounce back to win this week. I mean, they should have won last week. The bizarre thing is they actually dominated Argentina's scrum. They crushed it. They dominated their line out. They were winning the physical battle for the first 40 minutes, but they couldn't score. They couldn't convert the pressure into points. It was very un-All Black-like. The one thing that we'd expect them to be able to do is the kind of pass and catch part to finish off what they started, but that was a bit that they couldn't do. So they looked the wrong way around. Their power game was outstanding. That's the bit that we've said, well, we don't think they've got that part. And Ireland exposed it, and France have exposed it, and England exposed it. But all of a sudden, you're like, oh, they fixed that bit. And then they couldn't do the other bit. They couldn't pass, catch, run into space, and use their innate rugby skills. So that's confused everyone, going, well, what's that about? So, look, I think what will happen this week is they will play a much more conservative game. They obviously beat Argentina up physically last week, but couldn't finish it off. I think that's where they'll go this week, but find a way to not open the game up at all, and just, they'll score through 3 rolling mauls and a scrum pushover, and they'll win the game in the ugliest fashion possible because they need to take the pressure off the coach.
How much pleasure did Michael Cheika get out of beating the All Blacks last week?
What do you reckon? Yeah, he loved it. And look, great to have him back coaching, because he's never dull. He's always fun. Always compelling, and like he would have enjoyed that moment. He took the opportunity to put a bit of to kick the All Blacks when they were down a wee bit by lavishing praise upon the Crusaders. Because he was asked about Pablo Matera, who'd been out here this year and played for Robertson at the Crusaders, and lavish praise upon him to say that he'd been the real factor in turning Matera into the player that he is now. And that was quite nicely done by Michael. He knows how to niggle the New Zealanders quite well. And look, he's actually, I would keep a wee eye on Argentina. They're travelling pretty well. They thumped the Wallabies the week before. They've beaten the All Blacks in New Zealand. They're travelling pretty well. And he's a coach that tends to get a lot out of a team in the early stage of him arriving. So they could be picking quite nicely by next year.
Yeah, and you can see short-term impact of a coach. We saw it with Razzie in the last World Cup cycle.
Yeah.
There's plenty of evidence for the New Zealand board if they're like, well, we have this other guy over here who, are we gonna lose him forever? So look, we'll wait and see. It's been a topsy-turvy, really fascinating championship so far. Great to have you back again, Gregor. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
It's Gregor Paul giving us some thoughts there on the situation in New Zealand, and we're obviously very interested in this a year out from exactly what's going to happen. Right, I want to do competition. The Premier League is back. We've teamed up with one of Europe's largest sports events ticketing and hospitality companies, Champions Travel, to give you the opportunity to win a €250 Champions Travel voucher each day this week. They can be used on Premier League match trips as well as a host of other sporting events. Daily winners will be entered into a grand prize draw where one lucky winner wins a trip from a selection of Premier League games with flights and 2 nights accommodation included. To enter, all you have to do is tell us who is this very famous Scottish football manager.
I became a manager. I'd been a player, a decent player. Became a manager at 32. I thought this would be easy. I was thinking about other managers I worked for and I thought, I lost my first away game 5-2.
Things worked out okay. He did find it pretty easy in the end. You can tweet us your guess on our main Twitter account, which is @OffTheBall. I think you all know who that is, but tell us who is that, and tell us on Twitter @OffTheBall. Now, here's Niall O'Toole and Mark Lawrenson to say hello to Eoin.
Howdy, Eoin. Here the boys are putting together a video for you. So I decided to send you something that started up you wouldn't have seen before. The underside of O'Connell Street Bridge. Wider than it is longer. For stats nerds like you, you'd love to a little bit of a stat there. Hope I don't hit it.
Wow, I've never seen that.
Are you gonna go swimming by this boat now, Ger?
Yeah, well, he's gonna rescue me.
There you go on. Not risking life and limb, definitely risking being gozzied on. Cheers, buddy. Have a great trip.
Brilliant. That's some setup there from Niall O'Toole. You did give that one away yesterday. You were like, what's been your favourite video so far?
Yeah,
I
thought he played it on Friday because it had come in. But anyway, that was very
good. That's class. Thanks a million.
We've got Laro next.
Hey Eoin, it's Laro here. I see you leaving off the ball for a while. It's the old travelling the world and then coming back. Well, I hope you got a job when you come back, pal, because you know what? Once somebody takes over and they're successful, we may never, ever hear from you again. But there you go. That's the chance that you take, and you're going to South America. Be careful there. You know what happens in Medellin and all those kind of places? Very, very difficult. Anyway, in all seriousness, we'll miss you. Have a great trip. Have a safe trip. And we should hear you on the airwaves when you get back. Cheers, pal.
So, Mark.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Good life advice from these people. You should have tapped into this. You know, if only you'd known you had access to the wisdom of these people all along.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I need a bit of career advice. What should I do? Don't go travelling. Whatever you do. But if you do, stay away from Medellin.
Yeah.
I do want to hear how you get on in Medellin. It's on your list, is it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. That is some good life advice from Mark Lawrence in there. I might just do a U-turn on it now.
And finally, Anthony Moyles.
Hey, Eoin. Short message just to say best of luck in everything that you do from now on. It's been great working with you. It's been a hard stint every morning at whatever time you had to get up at to sit there and listen to Ger and the rest of the team pontificating. But you did plenty of that yourself, so no better man. It's been a privilege to work with you, and I hope everything goes well for you in your future endeavours and your travels. So, as the sun sets here in JFK, New York, it's a perfect setting to say goodbye as the sun sets on your OTB career. Hopefully it won't be the end of it, and I'm sure they'll want you back at some stage. Anyway, best of luck. Thanks, Eoin. Talk soon.
That was very nice, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of feels like, you know, summer is coming when Anthony Moyles is in studio on a Monday morning. You just kind of feel there's just something in the air. It's like we're getting going here now.
Did the split season force your hand a little bit? Like you'd be leaving now, All-Ireland semi-final, second All-Ireland semi-final last week. We'd have 3-week build-up to the football now.
Yeah, it did, to be honest. But I think that once I kind of thought that it was something I would like to do, there was probably no point in dragging it out and wait until January or whatever.
Like Desi Farrell's sitter against Kerry in 2001, Eoin, you'll be missed, says Steve Lane. This show's one of my favourite things, and you were a big part of it. We do not know where we go from here. Especially Ger. It's true. We don't know where we're going from here. Hanoi Tripper's back saying, Czech deserves some credit. It was a great win by Argentina. Also thrashed Australia last game. It's true. Memory Warrior wants to know, where was Kenny? Was he in the waiting room of the dentist? He was actually in our office.
Yeah.
It was in our office, yeah. Not the most dramatic part of our office, but Kenny's was, you know, heartfelt, touching. Also, good advice.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna miss the Christmas gift guide with Kenny. That's appointment viewing in November or whenever it's going to be.
Shifty Lads, who's been a regular commenter and with us from the very start, says, I've been unwell since mid-19. I've gone through hospital, chemotherapy, surgery, COVID and more, but every morning at 7:30 I consistently watch on YouTube. Thanks, Eoin. Thanks, Ger, too, for helping out.
That's a very nice message.
It is very nice. You forget that, people form habits and they listen, and well, we don't forget because we get comments from them, and we see that there are huge amounts of people listening, and we don't take it for granted at all. But you have become part of people's lives, on.
Yeah,
you're going to miss them.
100%,
and they'll miss you too. It's 8:38 this morning. Time for the papers. I'll just go do the papers. This is on brand.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. It does say no need for interesting, which I've just read. Thanks, Colin. They put Emma Raducanu on the front of the London Times, even though she's not playing until tonight. But I think that's to tell everybody that they're playing. Andy Murray's on the back because Andy Murray won yesterday. Rory McIlroy is saying, screw the Live Rebels, basically. He has no time for them and no sympathy. And it's going to be hard playing with them at Wentworth. Back page of The Sun. Can you get it signed? Conte plea to Harry over new deal. Harry Kane famously did a really bad deal with Spurs last time, and they trapped him.
Yeah.
And they couldn't. He couldn't go when he wanted to go. If you were advising him now, what would you advise him?
Well, what's the current deal?
The deal is the deal. I think he might be getting paid less than Luca Dean. Is he on 180 grand a week? He might be. He might be on a bit more.
So 2024, am I right in saying that?
Did you see Ross Barkley's deal was cancelled yesterday?
Yeah.
Ross Barkley, it said in the papers. Now I don't know how true it was. He was on 200 grand a week.
Oh my God.
Difficult to get motivated. I would find it difficult to get motivated on 10 million a year, guaranteed 5 years. Thanks very much.
Yeah, that probably explains it. Like, I mean, obviously started very well at Villa, and things probably went downhill from there. But yeah, it's the constant, I presume, conflict in a lot of those players' heads is that you've made your money at. And you don't necessarily have much to prove when you put pen to paper on a contract like that. But the Harry Kane thing, I guess this is going to ratchet up over the next few months, because at the end of this season, it might well be the last opportunity for Tottenham to cash in, if that's what they want to do, if they want to let him go at some stage.
I'd say he wants to stay. He wants to have that record. He wants all the records. And so there is a hometown discount that they're getting from him. Anthony's going to get you a new boy set for debut. That deal is done and everything is grand. Spurfect 10 Conte, this is the moment to hand Harry a new deal. I think he's happy to stay. It is. If you're Spurs, it's good business to tie him down, and then you can sell him if you want to. Rovers Euro fine after incidents. Rovers fined 21 grand by UEFA, 16 of the fine for throwing objects and 5 for an invasion of the field of play. And Eric says, thank you very Dutch, as he lands Anthony and takes spending 225 million. But the Glazers are the worst owners in football, aren't they? Definitely the worst owners ever. More evil than the Daleks. I mean, the Daleks are fictional. Rory can't live and let live. That's the headline in that piece there. Window smashers, and the point about Fofana is going to take Chelsea spending over 200 million in this summer window as well. 230 million euro they'll have spent when they signed Fofana. Back page of The Guardian is Andy Murray as well. Tuchel insists Chelsea need signings before window closes. Tuchel's feeling himself, but obviously, they got won last week, then they were not good the week before against Leeds. Yes, we Kane. Conte wants a new deal, and Quinn praises Pau over her rape revelations. This is Louise Quinn. Has hailed Vera Pau's bravery for going public about being raped as a young player in the Netherlands, saying it will help a lot of people going through the same thing. The Ireland team are obviously in camp at the moment ahead of the game against Finland on Thursday, and we'll be previewing that in more detail later on in the week. But it is 8:42. John Donegan is with us. John.
Ger Eoin. Owen, you're a great colleague, the trip of a lifetime. And I want to commend your professionalism and your brilliant humour and what you've added to this show. So look, you'll be back and just have a brilliant time.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. It's the feeling is very much reciprocated.
Good. Yeah. No, have a great time. And send us a few photos from Argentina.
We were talking about this the other day, but one of my first work experiences in professional journalism was actually with John Duggan of Today FM Sport.
Oh, right.
This was 2013. So I'll tell you what happened. This had long-reaching consequences on my personal sense of pride. Nothing that John Duggan did, of course. It was a different member of Team OTB, which we'll get to in a moment. So went in, Today FM kindly let me in for a week of work experience. John watched how the Today FM Sports team did their thing. And, you got to fake it till you make it. So I put
That's why you ended up on News Talk.
Yeah, exactly. I put that line on my CV, that I'd worked in Today FM. And, it maybe it didn't pay off in the end, but I remember sitting in one of my first OTB meetings and Nathan was there. Nathan recognised me from my week in Today FM and he outed my fake it till you make it mantra. And he was like, oh, yeah, you were in Today FM for 2 days. I was like, wow, okay.
So you lied on your CV?
No, I didn't lie. I just didn't put down a duration. I remember Nathan saying that at the time, and I was like, wow, he remembers.
You can't get away with anything in this business.
Yeah,
can't get away with anything.
At least someone was doing due diligence on the CVs. Eoin Escobar Sheahan, who'd have thought it? Says Bry R.
The two Sheahans.
Best of luck, Eoin. Don't forget to bring the Kerry jersey. A lot of people asking how many sports events are the Kerry jersey going to be at? Where will it? What's the highest point? What's the lowest point you're going to see? Will the Kerry jersey see the whales? What's going to happen? We will wait and see. All the best, Eoin. Your Japan Rugby World Cup 2019 was legendary, and you did a great job getting us through lockdown. Go sow your wild oats. And then it's the tongue out emoji from Stephen Fraser. Hope to hear you again not too soon. I remember going on J1 and everybody talking about sowing wild oats. I was like, it feels vaguely, elemental, shall we say?
Yeah.
I mean,
And is it not meant to be?
I didn't take it as agricultural. Took it more as it's like people are talking about you,
Yeah, I'm literally googling the. Oh no! I mean, if you Google Sawyer Wild Oats meaning, it says have many sexual relationships. Yeah, no, right. I thought that it was just you who was taking that.
No, I mean,
and me obviously.
Yeah, it was fairly obvious, but
you'll be the Barry Lyndon of South America if you get that reference.
I absolutely don't.
Too long. I never watched it.
It's an amazing film.
Is Barry Lyndon a noted?
He was more like a ruffian who kind of conquered the whole British establishment, and then it all went wrong for him. But he was a rogue and a character.
Owen's interview of Limerick. Tom Ryan is his finest hour. Is Tom Owen's replacement?
Oh, that'd be such a good idea.
He
couldn't leave the farm though.
Too busy on the farm. That's it. John, you've got a new slot for us. You're debuting
I just gave Colin an idea, our producer Colin Boohig earlier on. The 3 Tuesday takeaways from the Premier League. So my first takeaway is that Erling Haaland is Hotshot Hamish. I don't know if you remember him, Ger, from your days of reading Roy the Rover's comic book. So Hotshot Hamish was a 6'10", Hebridean, blonde Scottish footballer who...
Aryan Master Race echoes now that you mention it, but yes.
You can go there, I won't. He would always burst the net with his shots, and he was just like... Erling Haaland is a beautiful monster who is just going to probably win the Champions League for Manchester City. I just have loved what his attitude has been like the last few games. You could even see Guardiola so excited about him. He's going to take away defenders because they'll be watching him like a hawk for any moment in a game, and that's just going to create space for the other City players. Now, City haven't been brilliant defensively the last 2 games, but Erling Haaland, I've really loved him so far. So that's the first takeaway. The second one is that I love Richarlison. He is a shithouse, he is a rogue, and he is a sumptuous footballer. I kind of really found the keepy uppy stuff really, really funny. I know he got clattered for it. But I found it kind of funny, even though Jimmy Carr didn't seem to like it, and I just kind of saw the humour in it. And then the ball to Kane for the second goal was beautiful. And I actually think Richarlison's presence has unsettled Son, because his brother is playing at the moment, not Son, Heung-min's son. He has not started the season well for Spurs, so. Brazil looking good for that World Cup, if you ask me, with the way Jesus is playing, with the way Richarlison is playing. Obviously, Lucas Paqueta now has gone to West Ham as their record signing. He's been in their Brazilian team regularly. But Brazil have a lot of talent, and I think that they're going to go very far in Qatar with Chichi as their manager. The third takeaway is that Steven Gerrard, as Mick McCarthy very eloquently outlined last night, is in trouble. And there are 3 better English managers in the Premier League than Lampard and Gerrard. And those managers are Graham Potter, Steve Cooper and Eddie Howe. So if there's a debate around the future England manager, if Gareth Southgate ever leaves, I think you'd be looking at those 3 as starting points rather than Gerrard and Lampard. It's obvious there's an issue with coaching at Villa. It doesn't seem to be the happiest camp, and they just look disjointed. You can only watch from the highlights or whatever you can see, but they got to turn it around quickly because they spent an awful lot of money, Aston Villa, and I know you're a fan, Ger, but I don't really know where it goes from here.
I don't know either. Scotty Parker's gone.
Yeah, breaking news. Bournemouth can announce the club as part of the company with head coach Scott Parker. They've said in a statement just released. It's just your regular statement after that. Basically, talking about progressing the club and the team as a whole. And
harsh, isn't it?
They've
what's going to happen to the jacket?
Acted quickly.
You have to retire the jacket to the wardrobe.
Yeah, the stripy jacket. I wonder what's going to happen. So Gary O'Neill will take interim charge of the team and will be assisted by Sean Cooper and Tommy Elphick, says the statement.
What did they expect?
Maybe not 9-0. To be fair,
he's been challenging the club's hierarchy, in interviews. He did that again after the 9-0. So there's not much we can do unless we bring people in. Maybe that was a step too far for them, Interesting for Mark Travers, obviously.
How many managers have been sacked in August? Usually they get to September. Did Frank de Boer make it out of August?
I don't know. Didn't Spurs? When did they sack Nuno?
3 games in. No, it was a bit more than that, actually.
Sacked 1st of November 2021.
Was it that late? Wow. Okay.
Doesn't seem
Took
that
them a while.
Doesn't
Frank de Boer might have got 6 or 8 games, didn't he?
It's I think it's only happened a couple of times that it's been August. It's not actually that regular at all. But it's interesting because I was speaking last week that Brendan Rodgers was 2-1 on to be the first manager to go. So but they've been leaking goals, like a Civ, Bournemouth, and when you're thinking about the teams that go down, I don't know who the other two teams were going to be, because Fulham and Forest have started well, so I don't know who the other two teams are going to be. Obviously Villa.
It's not quite the usual statement here. Maxime Demain says, blah, 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 gratitude, promotion is great. However, in order for us to keep progressing as a team and the club as a whole, it's unconditional that we're aligned in our strategy to run the club sustainably. We must also show belief in and respect for one another. That is the approach that has brought this club so much success in recent history, and one that we will not veer from now. Our search for a new head coach will begin immediately. That's a real... He didn't get the memo, and he wasn't accepting of the memo, and so we might be going back down. But like, don't tell everybody that we're throwing it away.
Sean Dyche for Bournemouth.
Oof. I mean that would be sustainable. Yeah, where will Pochettino end up? That's a good question. Don't know. Is he
Aston Villa?
I don't know. Is he a candidate for Villa? I'm not sure. Like, he might be. Has Poch's magic and mystique worn off to the point where he has to go back to somewhere like Villa? And
would he get an international job? Would he end up like Roberto Martinez in an international job of some repute?
I'm sure, yeah.
Well, speaking of Martinez, like, is the Everton gig a possibility for someone like Pochettino? With all due respect, feels a little bit bigger than the Villa gig.
Just depends on the money. Depends on the.
It isn't though.
I think the club needs to be in a stable.
I think so.
Not at the moment.
The club needs to be in a stable footing in terms of its.
Villa have the billionaire owners who just bought Everton's best player.
Yeah, fair. That's pretty.
Until they actually missed Everton's best player, who was probably available at the time for. Anyway, John.
All right, lads, take care of yourselves.
More from John Donegan on Saturday afternoon on Off the Ball on News Talk. OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. Obviously, the Premier League is back. It's competition time. We've teamed up with one of Europe's largest sports events ticketing and hospitality companies, Champions Travel, to give you the opportunity to win a €250 Champions Travel voucher every day this week. They can be used on Premier League match trips as well as a host of other sporting events. Daily winners will be entered into a grand prize. One lucky winner wins a trip from a selection of Premier League games with flights and 2 nights accommodation. To enter, all you got to do is tell us, who's this very famous Scottish football manager?
I became a manager. I'd been a player, a decent player. Became a manager at 32. I thought this would be easy. You know, I was thinking about other managers I worked for and I thought, yeah. I lost my first away game 5-2.
To enter, all you got to do is tell us on at Off the Ball on Twitter, who is that? Now, it's time for our final episode of Eoin's tenure here on You Had to Be There.
Who's so unexpected? Is Tony McGregor afraid of you, Eoin?
Of course he is.
You had to be there.
While second place Cork City visit Galway United.
You had to be there.
It's the perfect place for a draft. 150,000 people here.
You had to be there.
Nice.
So in our production meeting, I had come up with a list of 5 you had to be there. But we're not doing that, Eoin. It's your final day. We couldn't let you away without playing the hits.
Oh.
We have 5 hits.
Nashville is definitely coming up here, isn't
it? Yeah. So this is buried deep in the recesses of the OTB AM vault. But there was a period of time once where crossover fights were a big thing. You know, like Jake Paul, the influencers, that kind of stuff. That took off, and you could have been one of those. You could be doing pay-per-view now, getting concussions.
Yeah,
for hundreds of millions if you just had followed through.
Do you know what? Like, I'm not sure. Is there more you want to say first before I just like?
No, you go for it.
I got an email off TMZ that week being like, "Will you do an interview on our platform?" And I was advised not to do it until the fight had been announced.
Oh no! Was that us who did advise you not to do it?
Yeah.
Was that me?
It wasn't you. I'm not going to.
Adrian Barry.
No.
It must have been Nathan Murphy.
No. And obviously it didn't happen.
Oh, you gotta. Gore Vidal says, never turn down the opportunity to have sex or appear on TV. And that is advice you must live your life by, particularly as you're going on holidays now.
Yeah.
If you can get on TMZ, you got to take it.
It was mad. Like the Irish Sun did a couple of brilliant pieces throughout it. Like Barstool Sports had it up at one point, and like I was getting messages of people that I vaguely know from America being like, "We just appeared on Barstool," and that was pretty wild.
Let's have a look. Achievement unlocked.
As they say, but he's been back in the gym. Pow reads the Snapchat pencil on this pad work at the Boxing Academy there, and he posts up a video of said pad work.
You'd kill him all. I think you'd take him.
No.
Genetics, though. No?
No. Could we go Tony McGregor into fighting Owen in blue collar boxing?
That would raise a lot of money.
Would you fight him, Owen?
I would totally fight this guy.
Would you?
Yeah. I'm calling him out right now. Tony McGregor.
Look down the lens on and tell him you're coming
pad
from.
work is kind of terrifying. One more video, more pad work, I guess is how we'll tee this up.
No one gives me coinage.
Go, Tony. Go. 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 Go.
So there you go. In case you were ever wondering what makes Conor McGregor so great, there's your answer.
Right, happy days. So are you calling him out? You want to just do it down the lens?
I'm not going to...
Do it, Owen.
That pad work kind of scared me, guys. So
a minute ago you said you could take him.
What?
A minute ago you said you could take him.
Yeah, I would, but...
Tell him you take him.
I want to spare the poor old man's head. That's a joke.
Oh.
It didn't stop there, though. That went further. Do we have another clip of this? No, is that no? Okay. There was a fight video made, and then a fight poster got made, and he accepted the challenge, and then you were in the sun. It was like, and I hadn't realised it had gone all the way to Barstool, but unfortunately the fight didn't get made. Do you think he would have killed you?
Yes. Yeah. Because we were going for it was supposed to be like a...
This was real. We were getting down to venues and stuff. And
yes, that's why I was told to hold off on doing the TMZ interview, because we could have used that to promote the actual fight when it was done, because it obviously be a massive platform and online viewers or whatever. So that's why I was told to hold off. So there was reason to it.
In retrospect, you get it out on TMZ and then they check back in on you when the thing is announced, and they check back in again, and it's like...
Yeah, that would have been the way to do it, but... that's not how it happened. It was supposed to be Valentine's Day. Remember, it was supposed to be the Valentine's Day massacre, and I think it was just before Christmas, maybe. Because I remember going to Berlin around that time and Krakow, and I burst my face open around that time. So I remember thinking I have to get back and actually train. I've got 3 months.
This is going to ruin it.
As I realised with a triathlon a couple of years later and stuff like that, 3 months even from a base of 0 is not enough to become a finely tuned athlete, it turns out.
Number 4 is the Mayo documentary. We're just going to play this in full. We'll come back to you on the other side of this. It's only a minute and 30 seconds, but it's literally the greatest thing that we've ever done on any of our platforms. In the 20 years that Off the Ball has existed, this is the high water mark. Enjoy.
You're welcome along to Elvery's McHale Park here in Castlebar, where Mayo GAA have called an emergency county board meeting. Now, media are not permitted to attend that meeting, so you might be asking yourself the question, why am I here? Well, to be honest with you, I'm asking myself the same question. So the emergency meeting is taking place behind those doors at the moment. Rumour has it that there is a shoot-on-sight policy for any journalist that enters the room. You may have thought Ross Kemp in Afghanistan was something, but this is way bigger. Going into that room right now for me would be like living in the German Democratic Republic 35 years ago and trying to hop the Berlin Wall. A rather startling discovery here in McHale Park. As you can see, a lot of sand here on the back of this tractor. Where do you think this sand came from? That's right, it came from the graves they've already dug for the journalists at the back, those journalists that they find upstairs. So that right there behind me is where the meeting is taking place. You can see a little bit of light peeking through the curtains. But if you're a journalist who walks into that room, light will never peek into your life ever again. So we're here at the shop, and it turns out that controversially, Elvery's McHale Park only stocks yellow snacks. Where are the pink snacks at? Clearly the best snack. Also controversially, the shop is closed on what is one of the biggest nights in Mayo GAA's year. Couldn't catch me out though. Bring your own food ahead of the game. And I knew it would be an extra long meeting, so I've gone for a Twix Extra. Absolute 10 out of 10 chocolate bar.
This was very good. You're allowed to laugh at your own stuff.
Ah, no. That was a fun night. Yeah, Mick Burns after that as well, a particular highlight. I'm trying to think what else kind of happened there. It was just I remember just being very cold and very lonely, and one of the county board officials invited me up to a separate office to go and have tea and sit down in the warmth, and I was like, I know what you're doing, you're trying to take me away, but actually I think he was just trying to be nice. And yeah, I think I tried to doorstep a few people from the county board that night, and they weren't having it. There was actual journalism done as well.
What was it the end of the Rochford era? Was it the end of what was going on?
It was 2019, so
this the restart of the Horn
James
era.
Horn had just done 1 year. and it was over the benevolent fundraising.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. And there was calls, as a result of the fundraising, to try and oust the county board.
Right.
And there were heads did roll after that, for sure. And maybe there's still like a little bit of ill feeling to this day. I imagine there'd have to be a bit of ill feeling to this day if heads rolled. So it was a fairly turbulent time in Mayo, and I think that was just Nathan's idea to send a reporter down there. There was somebody from one of the local papers, I do believe, there as well, who just popped in for a bit and was like, screw this, there's something happening, getting out of there. But I wasn't driving at the time, and I was staying down there for the night. I was like, what else would I be at? Like, I'm just going to stand here and wait for things to happen.
Your food review videos was something that comes up all the time in feedback for your high water mark and best moments and stuff. I don't know if there's any specific food in Japan that sticks out for you.
Yeah, one that I didn't review was a fish scrap soup, which is as bad as you might have expected. Like, the food there was obviously unbelievable by and large, but I remember being like, oh, that'll be a fun thing to review. And once I looked at it, I was like, no, I'm just going to get in and out of this place ASAP, and it didn't even make it to air. There was nothing, no content.
It looked so gross,
and it tasted so gross as well. I did have a few spoonfuls, and it was bony.
Okay, so that's on the cutting room floor. One of the things that wasn't on the cutting room floor was when Cian Healy visited us in studio.
God.
Have a look at this.
It smells amazing. Yeah. Tommy was asking me to drink some of the barbecue.
Have a taste.
We go for it. We can cut this out afterwards if this doesn't go well, you know.
Oh, you're slugging. Oh, go for it.
Wow. Yeah, so did I. That would have been a way better idea. Just dip my finger in. I actually just drank a bit of barbecue sauce. Eyes are watering, but it's amazing. How are you?
How are you?
Like, it's a high bar. Like, but that's one of the most...
Take this, like, how are you?
One of the most awkward things I've ever done in my life. That is really saying something. That is just like...
Oh, you're going to drink it. And then you actually drank it. And then you're pretending you didn't.
That time I forgot I had fingers.
And then the interview just proceeded as normal. And like I'd say the whole time your innards are like, well, maybe I should have had some steak with that.
Yeah, like imagine what, like Cian Healy goes out to the press guy afterwards. So how was the interview? Yeah, it was
weirdo.
Totally normal.
Biggest freak of all time.
Yeah.
He likes just a slug of the barbecue sauce. I don't know if that's going to help sales or not. It's good barbecue sauce.
It was very good barbecue sauce, must be said. Yeah.
You left that open one in the office in the studio for about a year afterwards.
Oh my God, that's
it lay there as an artifact to the majesty of the moment.
I think it was right before the World Cup as well, and I was like, I've got to actually, deal with these people on a fairly regular basis. It's like
they're like, oh, here comes Barbecue Sam. Yeah. So was that where your food review started? Was that where you actually?
I don't know. Possibly. The food reviews was that was an Adrian Barry kind of that was his idea. I think there had to be just an extra bit of content or something out there.
The team that parties and bonds together stays together is the other adage that we've largely ripped off from other sports. We all grew up on those legendary nights out drinking that bonded teams together and made them stick forever. And some of our best nights out ever would have been at the Imros, for example.
Oh my God. You're not going to do this, are you?
The PPIs. And here's the thing, right? John commended Owen's professionalism, and literally he has always shown up. Every time he has been asked to show up, he has shown up and has always at least delivered something on the day when it was there's no video for this, it's just audio. This is a sports bulletin on News Talk in I don't know what year.
2016.
You knew, right?
Oh, I know exactly what this is.
Have a listen.
Starting with soccer, and the Ireland squad will hold a run out later today ahead of their World Cup qualifier against Moldova tomorrow night. Shane Long's expected to take part in the workout at the Match Stadium after shaking off the knock he suffered during Thursday's win over Georgia. Jeff Hendrick, meanwhile, will also train with the squad. The Burnley midfielder has travelled to Moldova despite being suspended for tomorrow's game. Meanwhile, the Ireland under-19s are also on the qualifying trail. They face Gibraltar in their Group 4 clash today at 1 p.m. Later tonight here at home, the two top sides are back in action in the Airtricity League Premier Division. League leaders Dundalk host Sligo Rovers in Oriel Park, while second place Cork City visit Galway United. Both of those games will kick off at 7 p.m, while the action to the City Calling Stadium gets underway half an hour later as Longford Town host fourth place Derry City. In the First Division, Limerick will entertain Drogheda United at Markets Field, where there's a 5:30 kick-off, and Cove Ramblers entertain Cavan Teely from 7:15 p.m. In rugby, Connacht defeated Ulster last night in the first of this weekend's Inter-Pro derbies in the Guinness Pro 12. Pat Lamb's side registered a bonus point on their way to a 30 points to 25 win at the Sports Ground, which saw Ulster suffer their first defeat of the season. Yeah. This afternoon, the focus switches to the Aviva, where Leinster and Munster will renew their rivalry for the Guinness Pro 12. Kick-off at the Aviva Stadium today is at 2:05. Meanwhile, in golf, Ross Fisher leads the field by a shot at the start of the third round at the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship. The Englishman resumes from 11 under par this morning. Shane Lowry is the best of the Irish players on 5 under par, just ahead of Graham McDowell. And finally, in racing, there's action today in Limerick and in Ferryhouse, with both tracks staging 8 race cards. The McMahon's Munster Mile Handicap is the big prize on offer in Limerick, where the first race is off at 1:10, and the opening race in Ferryhouse is at 1:55. For News Talk Sport, I'm Eoin Sheahan.
I was enthusiastic. I just made a true ball without making a complete. It's actually a lot better than I thought it would be.
It is.
So I've never listened back to that, but I do know that there was audio there of me. Just basically still up from the night before and didn't quite realise what the Imrose was going to be. It was my first Imrose. I know Nathan's waiting outside. I remember him driving me down the night before, listening to your interview with Lance.
Oh, it's that year.
Yeah,
right?
it was that year. So that was it was just everybody was on such a high, I think, on that Friday, because there was genuinely one of the best interviews off the ball I'd ever done. And I think there's probably was there a show in maybe, or maybe just Joe just won one of his million Imros or something like that. There was good news on the night anyway, and it was a very enjoyable night. And I remember coming in the next day and
how did you get back here?
So I got the train, but the thing is, the train works were actually under maintenance, so I actually had to get off and hop on a bus at Naas or wherever in Kildare it is, and get the bus into Houston. So that was bad. But I remember Ger Tracy, who's now working with Virgin Media Sport, was working on the News Talk Sports desk as well, or the Today FM Sports desk, whatever it was, beside me that morning. And the way she looked at me that morning, I knew I was in trouble. She was like, "Yeah, do you just want me to read for you? I can just do your bulletins."
That's very kind of her.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to brazen this out. What could go wrong?
What could I'm here now.
It's true. I think, again, as I say, the best ability is availability, and you made yourself available for selection that day, as you did to, you saw Kindred Spirit when there was a reporter looking for some drunk people. You volunteered, and maybe this was the birth of everything. Here he is in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's the perfect place for a draft. 150,000 people here tonight. 150,000 people. What an amazing town. The perfect environment for a draft. It was in New York for 2 million years, and now they finally came to Nashville. Now they finally came to Nashville. That's our Uber right there.
Would you like to see him stay here?
Yes, of course. This place is the perfect place for the NFL draft. Every pick got a cheer except for Roger Goodell.
My absolute highlight of lockdown was when we reunited everybody from that video. And, and we surprised you.
I'm going to meet that guy in next week.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to meet Brent Romanda next week. He's based in Austin now. I'm going to try and go to the University of Texas game, and he says he's going to try and meet me beforehand. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get a ticket, but I'll try and meet up with him. And again, just one of those mornings that it was just full of the fear.
What tickets do you need? Tell us now.
I need
Come on,
8.
everybody out there, write this down, stick it out, tell your friends. What tickets do you need?
I would like to have a ticket for the University of Texas against Alabama. They're playing on Saturday week. It is obviously a very, very big fixture. Tickets are very, very kind of hard to get and expensive. And yes, of course, I shot my shot and tried to say that, I work for a media organisation, give me accreditation, and it was met with a hard no. So I've tried the media avenue, but
Games on in Austin.
Games on in Austin.
Yeah. Also check out Lance's little coffee shop and his bike shop. And
I might actually pop in there, see what the crack is there. But if anybody has tickets, let me know.
Right. Get him tickets. Come on, you can do that. You're watching this morning, you can definitely get him tickets for that. Someone somewhere knows somebody to get him in. Maybe even to a box. Who knows? It's 9 minutes past 9. A reminder, OTB AM is brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. OTB Gold today is Colin Gooch Cooper at 1 o'clock on Sports Radio. Mount Rushmore's Kerry It's all Kerry themed today. Classic Game Club, Kerry versus Tyrone 05. OTB Gold is Dennis Ogie-Moran. Will O'Callaghan's in the hot seat tonight, and Will's going to be joined by Fintan McCarthy, reflecting on his latest win alongside Paul Donegan in Europe. Philippe Auclair is on about the Paul Pogba saga, which is absolutely incredible stuff. Fiona Hayes will reflect on Ireland's tour of Japan, and Dan McDonnell is on the football show. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. And do you have your own YouTube?
I do, but I've got no videos on it.
Okay, so don't follow that yet.
No, definitely don't.
Alright, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to download the OTB Sports app. After the break, it's the return of Nathan Murphy, who has the honour of being Owen's final guest.
OTB AM on OTB Sports Radio, Ireland's first and only sports radio station.
This summer, we're bringing you double koi gig.
Didn't even have to break stride. It was absolutely sublime.
We're just watching it on repeat, over and over again.
Yeah, and it's rightfully getting the attention it deserves.
Subscribe to the OTB Koi Gig pod on the OTB Sports app now.
If your business relies on a van, that wouldn't sound good. But this does. Get up to 75% off van insurance. Now available in FBD branches nationwide. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. 75% no claims discount based on 5 years claims free. Available on new van policies. Used for farm or business purposes. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
Right, it's 11 minutes past 9. Binge 90 says, I first started listening to OTB AM a few years ago doing rehab post-shoulder surgery. Owen and Ger, a large part of keeping me sane and getting me back healthy. Fair play, Owen. Thanks a mil and enjoy. Shifty lad had you going, didn't he?
Oh, 100%. Like, it's... I'm very, very lucky that this is like a studio with like bright lights and all that. So you're very much... on edge and very alert, whereas it'll probably hit me when I'm not in here.
Whereas the truth is you're tired and emotional.
Oh, absolutely. But I think Shifty Lad managed to break through even the lights are on sort of setting.
There is someone home, it turns out.
Yeah, there is.
Nathan Murphy has joined us. Nathan, how are you?
I'm all right. It's a bit of an emotional morning, isn't it? For an awful lot of people, I think, as Shifty Lad said, you wake up. Most mornings I see Eoin Sheahan's face before I see my own wife's face. That's a bad habit where I turn on my phone first thing when I wake up, but generally Eoin Sheahan is there staring back, saying something somewhat witty. And now I'm going to have to get used to something new. But I think all the tributes are fully deserving. I've sat across Eoin for many years in studio. I was laughing listening to his post-IMRO show because we were in the car on the way down very late because we had to put the finishing touches, as he said to your Lance Armstrong interview, saying we probably have to play a little bit of catch-up, and I think Eoin did a little bit too much catching up. And while I was very professional, did you have to rush off that year, Ger?
I wasn't there.
You weren't there?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay.
I wasn't there.
We were doing the news round on the Saturday afternoon.
None of you were around. You all had left. Lance didn't happen until quite late in the afternoon, and you'd already...
No, I was there. I was literally standing in the studio watching.
Oh, did you?
I put Lance
Wow.
first.
In Ger's head, you see only one person was involved.
I thought you were all like...
Yeah,
like
nobody else had anything to do. It was all me,
claiming a little
baby.
bit of credit
On me.
What?
Myself and JP were in the box for sure.
Right.
Nathan was there as well.
We're obviously a very professional organisation, but there's nothing more glorious than when you're sitting in studio at 1:10 on a Saturday post-IMRO Awards and you're staring at Eoin Sheahan and you can...
Were you were on as well the next day?
I was presenting.
Oh.
I got the train.
We have to get a clip of that.
No, I was actually okay. I was somewhat professional, but it was totally overshadowed. It's that key thing of... you can be as hungover as you want as long as there's somebody worse than you in the room. And Eoin Sheahan was most definitely that person. So I think we prolonged the news round for as long as possible so he couldn't make a dash from the studio.
Yeah, I learned a lot from that particular experience. It turns out radio journalists kind of take things too far all the time.
Yeah. Like today.
Exactly.
What a time to leave. What a time to leave. Kerry All-Ireland champions. Arsenal top of the league.
Ireland women's football team about to qualify for a World Cup.
Yeah.
In Australia. Yeah. Ireland favourites for the Rugby World Cup now that everything has gone to shit everywhere else.
It's next year though.
Well, I couldn't help but notice his timing. I'm leaving for 1 year. He will return exactly just as the Rugby World Cup is about to get underway.
You can't go back. The drunken fans in France are not going to be wary of drunken fans in Japan.
You don't think so?
They'll be putting it on like the second or third season of Big Brother. Just didn't work.
Well, we'll see about that. There's only one way to find out. What are the drunken fans like in Australia?
Liamo 345, they're the ones you want. I'm devastated, Owen. As a fellow Kerry man, I'll miss you doing the yerring on behalf of us all. All jokes aside, you'll be a serious loss to all our mornings. Best of luck, Kiriaboo. When is Ger off in his travels? One down, one to go. Like the last Lord of the Rings, the two should go together in a blaze of Ivamec and flannel shirts. GoFundMe page set up for Ger to leave. Shaky Amo's back again. I'll give you... you're the one person I will give the digits of my bank account to, Shaky Amo, if you do set up a GoFundMe. It's amazing how uncomfortable all the love is making Owen. Just make sure Newstalk Columbia don't swoop in with a big money offer. Enjoy, well deserved, says Brother 3. It is funny how cloyingly Irish male this whole thing is, where it's like, yeah, it'll all be grand, yeah.
Did well, yeah, fair play to you. Oh, well done. On you go.
Just come back in one piece. So the wild oats and come back.
Yeah, it has been probably the disgustingly Irish male, to be fair. But
what was the highlight, Owen?
Oh, that's a good question.
Just waking up every morning and walking into the studio.
Yeah.
Ger's face is a great answer.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know. Like, I mean, it's when you get the opportunity to like cover a Rugby World Cup, it's very hard for that not to be the highlight. And I say that like specifically to that sport because you did Rugby World Cup in 2015. You've got all this time between.
Quite the same success story.
You've got all this time between games. People need a full week of recovery, and you've got like these kind of this build up to the weekend. Ireland seems to be playing every weekend. Maybe they did one or two midweek games, and the midweeks were kind of like obviously a lot of press conferences, but also time to like actually do different bits and pieces with your time in what was a pretty interesting country. And it was for a long time. It was like 6 weeks in the end. I kind of regret coming home early as I did. I should have just stayed on holidays for a while, but it is what it is. And that's my.
He all-nighted it all the way through to the plane as well. That was that
was good
trip. Hanoi Tripper, I've been following OTB from Sydney. I love the show, guys. Thanks, Owen, for all the great work. Good luck with future endeavours. We might see you in Sydney at some point, Hanoi Tripper. Declan 1000 says, I always listen to OTB AM during my morning run. I'm worried my pace is going to drop off listening to Just Ger. Happy trails, Owen. And the last one for now. Best of luck, Owen, on your big trip. I watch you and Ger most nights down here in Melbourne. I love the show. All around the world.
Yeah, that's right. I think, to be honest, the last week or two, that sort of stuff has actually been completely mental, seeing just any sort of amount of nice messages, because while I just said a moment ago you definitely feel like you're in a studio and you're definitely on, it doesn't feel like that half the time as well. It does feel like you're just having a chat with your mates, which was just the way it's tended to be rather than actually broadcasting to people. So it's somewhere in the middle there, I guess.
Adrian Barry, good afternoon, good morning to you.
I thought this was Nathan Murphy. I can see he's the only one I can see on camera here, and I can see that he's slightly eating away at him, that he's getting no time to talk about Rory or Mayo. How selfish of you, Owen.
It's all right. Listen, I'm able to be second in command here. You should have taken that lead on a Friday morning. Sometimes maybe given him a bit more airtime, and he might have been going.
It's a lot of like, I mean, is this a particularly touchy time for the company?
I didn't think so. It turns out it is, right?
His exit interview was interesting.
Yeah.
Go on, Adrian.
Good morning to you. I've enjoyed this morning's show. It's been great. I think maybe the highlight is Owen saying to his family, "Thanks for coming on."
Yeah, that was awkward for me. I'm just not good at any of this sort of stuff.
I think it's amazing because the Brian O'Driscoll goodbye comparisons have been made, obviously, but like at least Brian O'Driscoll was leaving forever and was like never going to be heard of again. Owen's coming back in a year, and also on top of that, he's already agreed this morning that he's definitely coming back, number one, and he's going to do is it a daily blog or like a weekly blog, or we're going to be hearing from you all the time anyway. So it feels
like a disinvitation.
No, it's not. It's absolutely
go and stay away.
I've also looking at listening to some of the comments this morning. I've enjoyed the viewers, as Ger just pointed out there, taking the opportunity not just to give Owen a pat on the back, but to give the rest of us a kick in the arse. That's really impressed me over the last while. But on a serious note, I would say that, to repeat a lot of what has been said, he's such a pleasure to work with. The word gent has been used in almost every tribute to the man, and I couldn't endorse that enough. I will also miss the fact that everyone is so impressed. Everyone's always so impressed by Owen. The least impressed is Owen himself. So I hope that when he's off on his jollies around the world for a year, that he gets a bit of a chance to reflect on what a decent fella he is, and to be able to take a compliment would be good as well. And of course, Owen, I'm going to miss our two mutual loves, Paddy O'Shea and Fred again. So
and Friday mornings on OTB AM, of course.
HG home, and we can discuss all that when you're back.
Of course, 100%.
On the gent point, I should have mentioned this earlier on when I was talking about Pat Coffey, his taxi driver, which was my first attempt to make Eoin cry this morning. But when I was talking to Pat recently, he did say that when they had a car accident, they got sideswiped by some joyrider at like 7 o'clock or at 6:30 in the morning. Eoin stayed with Pat and explained exactly what had happened to the ambulance people and to the guards as well, and made sure that everything was looked after properly. And Pat said, he didn't really expect that from somebody. And then Eoin came in and did the show that day as well, just to kind of show you exactly. Really, we should have said, no, go home, take it easy. But we were like, are you okay? Instead of sending you home. But that Pat made a point of saying that you stayed with him and looked after him. So.
That's literally nothing at all. But yeah, that was if you go back and listen to that, maybe that's like a concussed morning on OTB AM, like the drunken one after the Imros. That could be just as entertaining. Go ahead.
One of the other things that could have made our list today: Eoin retiring, Joe Canning or not, will never be forgotten, says Vincent Spillane. Best of luck on the journeys.
Yeah, that was pretty.
I wasn't here that morning. What exactly happened?
I interviewed Joe Canning and asked him, was he retiring? And he basically said, I haven't made my mind up yet. And then the print journalists half an hour later and retired to them.
And the press release was actually already written.
Yeah.
It was in the inboxes. It was like that Roy Keane story. He's like, I'm not signing for you. What? Okay. Best of luck, Eoin. You'll be missed on the crappy quiz. A lot of people wondering about the power rankings and what's going to happen to them. All of this is to be decided.
X Factor style.
Yeah.
Over the coming weeks.
Yeah.
Have you mentioned the Glen Sound story on air?
Oh no, come on.
So obviously told this. I was kind of put on the spot last week in the Boar's Head, and obviously didn't have anything to say, so I just kind of remembered one of my favourite moments working here. So everybody here has been very good to me, to say the very least, and they've given me loads of opportunities. And one of my first opportunities was to report on GAA matches at the start of 2016, I think it was. So I was doing Kerry matches. They'd give me the radio equipment, and I'd go down somewhere in the country, and I'd bring the equipment back into work. And I was coming into work one morning from the north side, got on Dublin bus, and I was sitting downstairs. I saw one of my mates walk upstairs, so I went upstairs to join him, have a chat with him, and came back down the stairs, left the radio equipment on the bag rack in the bus. Radio equipment, of course, famously very, very, very expensive, probably like half a year's wages. Go into the office for a while, and I'm like, oh, God damn it, I left it on the bus. No worries, I'll get onto Dublin bus. And they were like, no bother at all. They'll be driving back to the city centre, hop onto that Dublin bus and get your Glen Sound back for yourself. And sure enough, when I got there, it was gone. And I had to go to the guards, report that this thing was missing, and they actually managed to find CCTV footage of a man near East Wall taking the massive Glen Sound off the bus and walking away with it. So there is obviously a pirate radio station currently somewhere in East Wall using state-of-the-art radio commentary equipment after what was, I'd say, my first or second gig, to tell the lads here that I'd gone upstairs and left my radio equipment unattended on a Dublin bus. I genuinely thought my career was over.
Adrian Barrett.
It is now.
Yeah, well, there you go. Oh, I stole all of your punchline, sorry. Not the first time that's happened. May well be the last. Adrian, I think you might have been his boss that stage. One of the best decisions you ever made not to fire him.
Well, yeah, I mean, what Owen isn't aware is obviously there was, high-powered meetings in the aftermath of all that, where we were throwing all that up in the air. I was amused when he retold that story about how he was like, there was an insurance person this insurance man in the room.
Yeah,
I didn't realise at the time it was one of his colleagues.
They were just making sure that he hadn't actually stole it for, whatever, himself.
I was remarkably taken aback by how sound everybody was about that thing, because that was just horrific. I think Joe Malloy started calling me Glenn for a while after that because of the missing Glen Sound.
It cost about $5,000. It's fine.
Yeah.
Adrian, last word to you. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, listen, good luck on. I'll be talking to you down the track, and really looking forward to hearing from you. So you're in this classic mode now this morning where you're saying yes to everything. Yes, I'll be back. Sure, I'll do weekly updates. And then once you get in that plane, you'll be like, screw you, whatever, and we'll never hear from you again. But
Yeah, but no, like, I mean, this is an opportunity for me to tell you how amazing you are as well, right? I mean, this is something that I've wanted to do. I'm glad you brought Adrian on the line, because I vividly remember my first opportunity with Off the Ball and News Talk was a coffee with Ger and Adrian when I was in, I don't know, second year of college, and it went well. Started to pick up a little bit of work, and I remember I was going to go home for that summer that year to work in a hotel in Killarney or something. It was the summer of the World Cup, and Ger here at the table made every single effort to ensure that I got enough shifts in this place, writing a live blog, no less, to the millions of people who read that, covering the World Cup day in, day out, so I could actually afford to live in Dublin, and I could actually afford to try and craft out a bit of a career before I actually finished college. And without that happening, I don't know what would have happened. Like, I mean, in the Irish, that picture you put up earlier on of me in a radio studio, as I said, I was like, everybody wants to emigrate, and that was very much the plan. I was like, this thing can never work out. This show that I've listened to for my entire life, this thing will never work out till I could get a full-time job with them, if like as a researcher or whatever. And sure enough, it happened a few months after that, and there's no chance it would have happened without that day with Adrian and Ger and the opportunity they gave me. And there's a million other different things that I could say that kind of mark out how brilliant the two lads are, and the third man in studio as well, obviously, as well. I would say almost one of the best lads at giving an opportunity to people, and I know that other people in this company would absolutely attest to that, especially when it comes to getting your first opportunities on air and all that sort of stuff.
I got to the studio there while I wasn't looking. I didn't.
Did what?
The Cullum slip in the studio there while I wasn't looking.
So yeah, no, just I couldn't say brilliant enough things about the three lads here in studio, and I'm going to absolutely forget anybody who isn't in here, but like a special mention to everybody who's like worked on OTB AM down through the years. I know we've got Cullum and Ken inside in the box right now, two brilliantly talented men. Obviously Cullum's come in on the back of Tommy Rooney, the Meath Hillbilly, and has done just brilliant things with this show as well. Two phenomenal producers. And then sitting at the other end of the glass post-COVID now on the Vision mixing machine is Emma Carroll, who is the absolute beating heart of, I would say, Team OTB, let alone OTB AM at this stage. And like, there's just no chance we would be, I guess, able to talk to one another if it wasn't for people like them, because it's they do all the hard work and we do the very easy thing, which is talking absolute nonsense day in, day out. Like the likes of people from Jojo to Peter Malloy and everybody who's worked behind that glass, they've all been amazing. They've worked on this specific show. I know that if I start broadening it beyond this show, it'll just get to a point where I'm going to start forgetting names. But there are so many people that are genuinely brilliant who work for this company as well, and I've spoken for quite a lot of time there, I've just realised.
That was very good though, yeah, well done. Thank you very much, Eoin. I think a feeling has always been mutual from the very start. What people maybe don't fully appreciate is that when we started OTB AM, it was Halloween 2017, was it? And you were the one of the first hosts. We also had Tommy Rooney, I think, who we can pull up here as well. And
morning.
I don't know if you were familiar, but outside a lot of the noise was, that's the stupidest idea of all time. What are those clowns doing? What have they're investing money in an internet video. That is, we all know videos failed, but here we are with like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people watching live every second, and then 700,000 listens every month on podcast, and we've built an entirely new show. There's no way, Eoin, that we would have done it without you.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true, to be honest, but I definitely know that there's I was trying to think about the other day. I was like, would I listen to 23-year-old me on a morning breakfast show? I'm not sure I would, so apologies to anybody who had to go through that. I'm not sure I'd listen to 28-year-old me either, to be fair. Just the sort of unbelievable level of imposter syndrome, which definitely still exists, but just doesn't exist as much as it used to. And for lads like Ger and Tommy to actually be so unbelievably encouraging when I was a lot shitter than I am right now at what I do, maybe still shit, but just a lot shitter at what I do, was absolutely remarkable, and just brilliant. Two brilliant motivators, and no idea is a bad idea except for a couple of really, really bad ideas and that sort of thing. Like
they were always mine though.
Yeah, well, I should have probably kind of like prepared something more to say, but I just couldn't speak highly, especially of the two lads, Ger and Tommy. Like when this show started, it was like, holy crap, what is this thing? How long is this thing going to last? And maybe it speaks to like a negative mindset, but I think in the back of my head I always kind of knew that I would maybe go travelling or something like that, but I assumed that I would get sacked, or I assumed the show would go down the toilet, like the new morning TV show that I'm now half of. I was like, surely I'm going to be responsible for this thing going absolutely terribly. And I was like, at that point then, or when I get cancelled or something like that, I will then go travelling. And it is heartbreaking to actually be like, oh, things are actually going well, and I still want to scratch this itch. And I feel very unappreciative and very stupid to be doing this, but it's done now.
Tommy, good morning to you.
Morning, guys. Eoin Sheahan, you're not a man of few words, but you've kept that close to your chest over the last little while. That was absolutely beautiful. But do you know what? I have such respect for you for what you've done over the last number of years. It's not easy getting up and putting your neck on the chopping block every morning, chatting. Ger might be rising you might be rising Ger. You never know where your guys' conversations are going to go some mornings. It's incredible what you've done over the last couple of years and what you've done with OTB AM and Off the Ball. And I know you mentioned the trip around Japan. Like, that was absolutely incredible, the coverage you brought back then. None of that is easy. Getting up every morning, having your say on sport, having your say on what people are passionate about and what they care about, annoying some people, rising them. That's not an easy thing to do, but you did it incredibly well, and you produced some amazing pieces over the years. I do have one question for you. I'm not sure what sort of influence you're going to exert over your replacement. Is there any chance we might get a bit of an Alex Ferguson, this is your new co-host now? Is there any chance we might get some X Factor auditions for the latest host of the Power Rankings or the new quiz? Are you going to have an influence over who takes over? Because, Eoin, this is your legacy. Never mind, this is your life. This is your legacy, my man. You've done an incredible job over the last couple of years, and geez, you'll be missed.
Yeah, your job now is to get behind the new presenters. Like, that's one of the things as well, is that just the level of talent in this place is absolutely remarkable. Like, the two lads obviously in the studio with me, Tommy Rooney, like showing up and just taking the football pod and being like, you know what, I'm a top class GAA broadcaster out of nowhere after sitting behind the other side of the glass for years and years. Absolutely unbelievable. And it's not just talent with Tommy, it's unbelievable graft and hard work. And when it comes to everybody else that you hear on the output, it's absolutely the same. Like, what they're doing with PM at the moment is brilliant. Like, when you've got the likes of like Arthur and Ronan in studio with Mick and Joe, like there's just some brilliant stuff happening at the moment, and I've absolutely zero question that whoever is going to be sitting in the seat will do a much better job.
Best of luck with all the travels, Eoin, says Martin O'Sullivan. Will be sorely missed. I haven't missed a show since the start of lockdown. Eoin, very knowledgeable and very rarely wrong. Ger will be a shell of himself tomorrow. This is correct. Rick Jagger says, I hadn't thought about this at all. Rick Jagger says, best of luck, Eoin. No more eye candy from 7:30 a.m. anymore. Eoin, the thirst trap Sheahan.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
That's
you need to find that audience when you go travelling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he will. He will find that audience.
Please just judge me on my personality, not my looks, for once.
Hasta la vista, Eoin. Enjoy yourself. We hope to hear updates of the trip and experience. Maybe an Eoin hour once a week, talking about his experiences at match days in South America, says Mark Kohler. There's loads more. Every bloke over 45 is jealous as hell, says Neil McEnany. Good luck, Eoin. Love you, Eoin. Keeping an eye out for Arcade Fire tickets on Toutless. We'll text if they go below 50. Rachel says hi. Shane O'Mahony. Are you going to Arcade Fire tonight?
I don't think so, unfortunately.
Because you don't have tickets?
I just have a little bit too much to do.
Could anybody get Eoin easy tickets, like a box or something, at Arcade Fire tonight? Come on.
I have 2 tickets. I'd like to give them to you, but I just want to go
You
myself.
Want to go see Arcade Fire, yeah.
It'll be my leaving present, but...
It'll be good.
And then people asking, where's he going? Ger, longest best man speech ever. Great job, says Neil McEnany.
I do like the thought of the weekly check-in as Eoin's hair grows ever longer and the beard gets bushier and the eyes become a bit droopier.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's also the question of how soon is too soon for him to come back.
Yeah.
There was that awkward situation with somebody who may be sitting outside who worked in Newstalk, who we all gave the $5 or $2 and came back after 3 months, and we're like, do we get the money back? Do we get the money back? You can't take all the cash to go and then just rock back in 3 months later.
Surely we should have had Joe Canning announce Owen's retirement to return the favour. That was the one message that we should have actually got. That was, sorry, well, we weren't thinking.
Well, but by converse, and it's unfortunate that it never came out on air, but I actually think Eoin forced Joe to retire that day.
That doesn't make it any better.
No, I just think I actually think it was a good thing. You know, you made somebody realise what they needed to do with their life, and I think that was testament to your broadcasting skills, Eoin.
Griff says, Eoin, could you power rank your colleagues at Off the Ball before you leave?
Wow.
Yes, I could.
Not
on air.
Kerry Mafia are going global with huge thanks to you, Eoin, says Alan O'Flynn. Look, the love is coming in. There's too much now, and there's also catch a Flamengo game in the Maracana, north or south for Chaos, east or west for Cam. It's an experience, says Ronan Brady. Have a great trip. Owen's fantastic. Hope he's back soon. Enjoy, Owen. Have a blast. Quick one before you go. What's the new address in El Salvador to send the crappy quiz postcards to?
Cool.
Just, I think, slide into the DMs.
Careful on the lingo you pick up, Owen, or you will be banned. Ultimately, where does OTB go from here? We've one more bit on the far side of this final montage to do. Have a look. Owen's leaving, everybody, because he won't say it. I'm going to say it.
Jesus, lads, what happened?
Sorry, am I ruining your... You had like a carefully orchestrated plan for what this...
Yeah, comunicado oficial.
What happened?
How can this happen?
We just need to get a final answer now. Is this a dream or what's the story like? Is this... If you're a journalist who walks into that room, light will never peek into your life ever again. What I always say, Neil, is that you're better off being miserable in work than being miserable outside of it. Are you sure, 100% positive you want to do this? Tommy was asking me to drink some of the bar.
Have a taste.
We go for it? You know, how can this happen?
Japanese people, very friendly. Japanese cats, pricks. Listen, interviewing drunk fans is the most pleasant experience in the world.
Murray Kinsella knows what he's talking about. Sheahan doesn't, does he?
Like, what have I done wrong?
Oh, you're slugging. Oh, go for it.
Would you like to see him stay here?
Yes, of course. This place is the perfect place.
Is Tony McGregor afraid of you, Owen?
Of course he is. Oh, there he is.
We gotta interview Owen.
So you might be asking yourself the question, why am I here?
Murray Kinsella's a great pundit.
How can this happen?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm asking myself the same question. That would have been a way better idea, just dip my finger in. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Going into that room right now for me would be like living in the German Democratic Republic 35 years ago and trying to hop the Berlin Wall.
How can this happen? How can this happen?
Eyes are watering. Don't care. Getting some culture in.
How can this happen?
We're running out of time here. It'll feel like a bottle of whiskey is smashed over your head when I'm finished with you, Tony. It's the end of the road.
The question ultimately is, you know, where do we go from here? I mean, where do we go from here?
Chris Waddle.
Oh, you're kidding me. September. Kyle Lafferty.
Are you joking me?
Is that right? I know, it's not right. Anybody else?
Leash, was it?
Like, that is one of the most stupid questions.
Darius Vassell? Seriously, you all need to just stay quiet. This is getting really annoying doing this quiz. What is going on here?
Welcome along to the shoutiest segment on Irish radio. It is the scintillating, it's the stupefying, it's the splendido, crappy quiz. Every Friday we pit three of Team Off the Ball up against each other in a no-holds-barred quiz of sporting factoids at the end of the week. Allow me to welcome today's contestants. Yuri Geller.
Yuri Geller.
That's just a stupid question.
Of course, I know what you're talking. I understand.
No, fair point, Adrian.
No. Hang on, you can't. You've just been talked down from what your decision was. You can't do that.
I screwed me over rightly there.
Oh, for God's sake, this is a ridiculous question. This is so easy. The resources point in the laptop is an interesting one. I'm not sure you guys are all probably too old to have watched Quiz Zone.
What do you mean, oh my God, you don't know the bloody answer?
This is a great question.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And it's Pomp in like 2005, 2006. And it was basically where kids had to get an answer to a question correct and then run through like a soft play area.
Here, would you stop with your absolute bullshit?
No, it's Rafa Nadal.
Damn it! Jesus.
You're a wanker.
I'm really enjoying this. They had like encyclopedias behind them and they had a computer in front of them and they'd be like, what is the capital of Ecuador?
Lads, you should have heard what Paddy was telling me off there.
And they would go to the encyclopedias rather than Googling what is the capital of Ecuador. It's Karim Benzema.
Benzema, so I was going to go for it. I thought he only got 3.
Yeah, okay.
we go. And I kind of feel sometimes that that's what's going on here with this laptop here.
That was a great anecdote.
Wow. Correct. Ashton off the mark. Hey, give me one more and then you get the point.
What?
This is like cheapening the quiz, what you're doing. Do you think the Neil Armstrong is going to have a poster of you winning the triathlon behind him in his room now?
Well, Neil Armstrong's dead, so I don't think he will have one, but Buzz Aldrin might.
That level of pedantry is getting us all in that Friday feeling that we so love here on the crappy quiz.
That was a 2-yard tap-in. No, it's bad.
Imro.
I can.
It's just the look at his jaw. It's supposed to end badly for me, so I get it.
In a battle of the egos. Who's your daddy?
Next morning.
This is
next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, 7:30.
See you next Tuesday.
Here. See you then. Have a great weekend, Stephen Ward. Now.
I won the quiz.
Okay. It's like my puppy is being murdered in front of my eyes here.
That was our final montage. Oh, and I have to say, like most Irishmen, you're an incredibly hard person to buy a present for. And I nearly tracked down the original, but this is the 1998 Adidas version of the Kerry jersey.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Wrapped it up beautifully.
Which we expect to be at the top. Here, open it there quickly so we can actually. Which we expect to see on the top of Machu Picchu, in the Maracana, and wherever else you're going.
Glorious, look at that. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eoin Sheahan, take it away. That is it.
We're now joined by Lawrence Donegan, who's going to talk about Rory McIlroy's return to winning ways, and I think his comments all year about the Live Boys and what it's going to be like to take them on next month. How are you getting on, Lawrence?
Pretty good, Johnny. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Life good with you?
Yeah, pretty good. You know, just loving my golf at the moment. A lot of excitement, a lot of interest. Yeah, people are kind of all kinds of questions. I'll be interested to see what happens in the next 6 months.
Yeah, Rory obviously, he received $18 million in prize money for this win at East Lake. It's his 5th title of the season, the 3rd time he's won this. He did make a comment which caught my attention a bit, maybe, like as somebody who's kind of dips in and out of golf. He said, I'm probably the least interested in money, basically, on the tour.
Yeah, if that's because he makes a fortune off the tour. I tell you, no, this is interesting. You go and have a look. Type in Rory McIlroy Symphony Ventures. In 2019, Rory set up an investment vehicle called Symphony Ventures, and it's a lot of the NBA guys have done this through the years. LeBron and Kevin Durant. And he has some kind of advisory boards of guys who are in that venture capital world. And he has made some pretty smart investments. And they're all kind of, if you go and look hard enough, you'll find them. The one that really catches my eye, he invested in Whoop. You ever heard of Whoop?
Yes, I have indeed.
Yeah, I bet you've got one. You look like the kind of guy that would have a Whoop, Johnny. Anyway, Rory invested $10 million, I think it was, in the Series E funding. I bet you didn't think we'd get into Series E funding.
Whoop has been actually a very good friend of Off the Ball, but I haven't actually yet availed. I'm sure I will, but I do take the compliment.
Well, the last that was in Series E. And Series F, Whoop was ventured at 3.6. It was valued at 3.6 billion.
Wow.
So Rory isn't messed around. Anyway, I mean, good on him, very smart move. But the point is, he's the least interested in money because he has been the smartest off the course of any professional golfer. He's made some amazing investments over the last three years. So yeah, again, I think we can trade in a bit of, we're talking, the gossip is he's made, in the last few years, he's made over, 3-figure millions in his investments portfolio.
Well, you're a journalist who's dabbled in the music career, both of which in the modern era, it's hard to make a lot of money from. Is that fair to say?
That is absolutely true. Don't get me started on that, Johnny.
Yeah, well, that's the second half of the show in a special sequence tonight. But like when you're following golf, like,
yep.
Can you make sense of, like, do these people live in the real world? Like, when you see the comments from some of the guys who've gone down the live route, that, like, I have to put bread on my table, sort of, I'm paraphrasing here, but do they live in the real world, or, like, comments like this from Rory, are they maybe a little bit kind of, I don't know, misguided in the sense that there's so much poverty elsewhere in the world, or am I wrong?
Well, there's a couple of points and you can unravel on that. One, I don't really understand why, again, I sound like a live apologist. I'm not. I would never take live money, but I don't understand why golfers are being particularly picked upon. Joe Biden was in Saudi Arabia last month, signed a $3.7 trillion arms deal with Saudi Arabia, yet the world seems to be piling on to 50 golfers, pro golfers. So there is that. However, I mean, there is a kind of tone deafness to a lot of it. There really is. I wouldn't include Rory in that, but this nonsense about putting food on the table. I mean, it's just absolute garbage. I mean, the modern golfer, if you're a top 100 in the world in professional golf these days, you are making an absolute fortune. I mean, there is so much money around. So there is a real tone deafness to all of that. But you take a guy like Rory. I wouldn't proclaim to know Rory very well, but you get to a stage where the money almost doesn't really matter. It's just it's just there. And, so what elevates the guys is, is a competition. I mean, again, I don't want to apologise for these guys, but I mean, it really is A guy like Rory isn't playing for money, and it's not because he has tons of it. He's just stopped playing for money. He didn't when he started out. He wasn't playing for money. He was just playing because he loved golf. And if you look at him yesterday, you could see. I mean, he was tingling. It was amazing to watch, and you could just tell what was driving him was two things: a love of competition and a love of golf. And, for a lot of these guys, that is what it's all about. I mean, they need to be a bit tightly handled by their PR guys, stop with all this rubbish about, bread on the table and all this nonsense. But one of the unique things about this Live Golf has been the uniquely horrendous PR that surrounded it, putting some of the most... no, I wouldn't say stupid, but not some of the smartest guys in front of a microphone. There was famously the first Live press conference that they were asked about. I think it was Poulter was asked about if Vladimir Putin had a golf tournament, would you show up? That's a pretty spicy question, and a lot of these guys that aren't equipped to handle that kind of stuff.
Actually, you just touched on something there, though, because Saudi Arabia runs the Saudi Cup in horse racing, which I would be a lot more involved in, and there is literally not a murmur in racing. Nothing whatsoever about going over to fight for a $20 million purse in one race. I think is absolutely obscene. It's obviously funded by the Saudi government. Not a murmur, nothing in racing. So it almost does feel like golfers, this might sound completely daft because I think the Live thing is despicable, but it does sound like they're a somewhat easy target when there's an awful lot of whataboutery you could get involved in.
Well, again, credit to the golf media world, because for a long time it's been slagged off as one of the coziest media worlds for golf, in professional sport. You go to your typical, in years gone past, you go to your typical professional golfer PGA Tour press conference, and it was very, very cosy. There were no hardball questions. So credit to the golf media for getting a bit of backbone, a bit of spine, and sort of getting stuck into this particular subject. But your point is well made. I'll give you another one. The Wall Street Journal reported last week that 10 of the world's top artists have signed deals with Saudi Arabia to go and build installations in the desert for some new project. A story drops in the Wall Street Journal, and that's it, not a peep. Nobody says anything. We move on to the next thing. Again, it is one of the great mysteries to me that why everybody seems to have stopped and decided to pile into these professional golfers. Part of the problem is professional golfers as a bunch, especially these guys, the guys who've gone to Live, are not a very sympathetic bunch. They're kind of very, well pillowed, and you don't particularly look like great athletes, a lot of them. And, they're not, a lot of them. Rory cuts a sympathetic figure, but Patrick Reed doesn't. Bryson DeChambeau doesn't. So the Live golfers, it doesn't help Live that I don't know if I can use this word, but they're basically quite a lot of pricks out there playing in the Live golf, So again, that would explain, why they've been, people have got stuck into them. I mean, again, my view is credit to the golf media world for getting stuck in for once in its life.
No chance of Mohammed bin Salman giving us any sponsorship in the near future after that comment.
Sorry about that.
Just going to have to take it. In terms of the golf itself, Rory's 6-shot deficit here. He's how improbable was his start of the day?
Oh, it's totally improbable. How improbable was it after his first hole on Thursday? He tripled the first hole. It was, I think he said it himself. I mean, I can't, there is a number kicking around about how many guys have lost a tournament with a 6-shot lead. Not many in the last few years, but some brilliant golf from Rory. It's driving the ball this week. I mean, no wonder people just love watching Rory McIlroy. It's just, it's so athletic. But the actual, if you delve into the numbers, the big difference yesterday was his putting. Never been seen as one of the world's great putters, but I won't baffle you with statistics too much, Johnny. But he gained 3.92 strokes on the greens with his putting over the last 36 holes. That's phenomenal. Again, I've picked out another stats. I think in his career, Rory's led strokes gained putting in a tournament 6 times. And he's won 4 of those tournaments. So, I mean, you could, the long and the short of it, he can usually be relied on to drive the ball brilliantly. And when he puts well, he's very, very hard to beat. And that proved to be the case yesterday. It was a brilliant spectacle. And as I say, part of it was his own, you could just see how much he was up for it. Brilliant to watch. He's just a cut above everybody else. I mean, not quite a Tiger in the glory years, but he's in terms of a spectacle, he's getting pretty close.
So where would he rank putting wise then?
Well, this year, I mean, over his career, not very highly, but this year, I think he finished in the putting stats. He finished 14th on the PGA Tour. Again, if Rory does that in a season, you can guarantee he's done really well, because he's always going to be in the top 2 or 3 strokes gained tee to green. In large part because of his driving. He's just the best driver in the PGA Tour by miles. So this year's been a very good year for him putting, and that's reflected in what I think he's won 3 times in the PGA Tour this year. I think you said, I think he's made 28 million, finished top 8 and at least in the majors. And there's still, he's still got a few events to go. So what a season for him. It's been amazing.
What changes with regard to his putting? Is this like, is this coaching? Is it practice? Is it reaching his prime? Is it a mental thing? Is there even anything? Is it just a particularly good day, or is it a good season? What is it?
No, it's, here we go. I mean, I could talk about this for hours. He has never been known. When Rory turned pro, the knock on him was, amazing player, great ball striker, not a particularly good putter. I mean, he had a good amateur career, but not a phenomenal amateur career. So essentially, he's just been getting better and better as the years have progressed. So I guess it's practice. He switched to. He's been around a few putting coaches over the years. Dave Stockton, he putted well with Dave Stockton back in the 2011, 2012. He moved on to Phil Kenyon, probably the world's leading putting coach. Did okay. In the last 2 or 3 years, he went to Brad Faxon, who your golf nut listeners out there will know was probably the best putter in the PGA Tour in the last 30 years, apart from Tiger. Faxon has a more holistic approach to putting. It's a bit more about feel and not so technical. And, that's probably, when you actually think about it, Rory's not so much a technical golfer. He's more of a feel golfer. Obviously, his swing is technically sound. But by focusing on feel with putting, I think that's probably freed him up. And he just, he's just holing a few more putts and kind of getting on with it. It's, I'll tell you, watch out, because he's only 31 now. I think he's 31. Oh my goodness, if he can bottle what he's had this year and start using it over the next 3 or 4 years, there's no way. I mean, I know we're all agog with his performance from yesterday, but there's no way he does win a major championship next year. I'm not a gambling man, and I wouldn't, but put the house on it, Johnny.
Well, where is he at right now in terms of his the best golf he's played in his career, despite the fact that we're in a majors famine? How would that performance yesterday compare to the prodigy, the precocious McIlroy, who obviously has been on a bit of a lull in terms of winning majors?
That's a great question, and interesting one. Of course, the real answer is we just don't know. Oh my goodness. Looking at it, I mean, statistically, he won the Varden Trophy for the 4th time. That's for the trophy they give to the guy with the lowest scoring average on the PGA Tour. That's his 4th time. There's only 6 guys in history. They started handing that bauble out in, I think it was 1930. There's only 6 guys that have won the Varden Trophy 4 times or more. I mean, you can reel off the names: Palmer, Snead, Trevino. I can't remember, a couple more. And look at Rory. So he's 2011, I guess 2014 would be his prime years. What is remarkable though, I mean, this year would certainly not, obviously he didn't win a major this year, but that would match those years, 2011, 2014, when he was winning these majors. But he's done it with all this noise going on. It seems like, he's, to all intents and purposes, it appears that he is leading the PGA Tour. He's got a new family. He's got his investment business going on. And now he's kind of rode into, not rescue the PGA Tour, but it seems that once him and Tiger Woods got into, they're obviously seeing there was a real problem. When the LIV thing was launched, the PGA Tour was completely caught off guard. It's taken them 3 or 4 months to kind of get its balance, and helping them restore balance and a bit of a pushback. McIlroy's been right at the forefront of it. I mean, as I say, him and Tiger Woods. So he's got all that going, and yet at the same time he's playing some of the best golf of his career. It really is something else. And I say this all the time about McIlroy. To all intents and purposes, Rory left school at 14. He was a golf protege, so he wasn't. He's not a boy with, I don't know what I'm not au fait with the educational system in the north there, but not a highly qualified person. Not particularly. Again, he said it himself. He's a very well-read guy now, but at the time, basically never opened a book. And to see him now stand in front of the microphone, it's very, very impressive. And behind the scenes, he's clearly a bit of a mover and shaker in what is essentially a multi-billion-dollar sports business. I mean, that is impressive, really impressive.
Yeah, and he's become almost like the de facto sports person for the anti-live movement, in a sense, what he's done for the Irish Open. It's interesting what you say there, because we all know that Tiger had an extremely complex upbringing, which came home to roost subsequently. Yeah. But Rory McIlroy's upbringing was far from normal because of how good he was as a golfer. Yet, and that almost seemed to place this unbelievable pressure on him that. Maybe now in sort of recent years, he's had his kid Poppy, I think it was her birthday, and his good friend Shane Laurie was over for a glass of wine, I think, after one. But he just seems to be in a very good place, as you say. And as much as he's been extremely lucky, it can't have been an easy life for him either in some respects.
No, I don't know. You're brilliant. I mean, you got to. I'm tangentially involved in the world. I mean, my lad plays golf at a pretty decent level. He's a pretty young kid.
What age is he, Lawrence?
He's 17. He just turned 17 a couple of weeks ago. But my point, it's difficult. You can, if you're in that world. I mean, I've been around golf, professional golf, amateur golf for now on 30 years now. But you can spot, you can spot good parenting. It's pretty easy. And I think Rory just had he had an unusual upbringing, but he also had a tremendous upbringing. I think his parents have done a phenomenal job. I mean, I don't think he would argue, but I mean, he was precocious. Young athletes can be, tricky, and volatile. And I don't think he would deny that Rory's not been a model citizen for his entire golfing career, but he's kind of his foundation stones and the values that he was given by his parents. I mean, it's all coming home to roost now, isn't it? He's a very, very impressive figure. There's a lot going on in social media. Rory rides in to save golf. I mean, this Messiah thing, we need to put that to one side. There's more people involved in that, but it's amazing. I think part of it is there's been a failure of leadership in the PGA Tour, and either McIlroy or Woods or some of the people who surrounded them said, hang on a minute here. If we allow the Jay Monaghan, the PGA Tour commissioner, to be our leading figure in pushing back against LIV, we're in serious trouble. So again, I keep going back. So McIlroy and Woods together have come in and they've. I think you'll notice actually, LIV had pretty much its own way for a couple of months here, but I think the PGA Tour has kind of regained its balance and is kind of pushing back. And I know LIV announced a few new golfers today or yesterday. Cam Smith, the most recent Open champion, being one of them. But the PGA Tour launched its own revised schedule, or this kind of new format for the PGA Tour. So there's a real battle going on, and it's not such a one-sided fight anymore. And I think McIlroy's partly responsible for that.
So Lee Westwood, Sergio Garcia, Graham McDowell and Ian Poulter will be among the LIV players expected to play in the BMW PGA Championship.
Yep. I think there's 19 of them, Johnny.
19 of them. Something which McIlroy has described as something that will be hard to stomach. This will be an intriguing spectacle on a lot of levels, though.
Don't you love it, though? I mean, I just think it's brilliant. Golf has been such a cosy world. There is genuine animosity now between PGA Tour guys and LIV guys. I just, I'd pay to watch a fight. It'd be great. Wouldn't it be great if Lee Westwood and Rory McIlroy started scrapping out on the driving range at Wentworth? It wouldn't happen, obviously, but yeah, it's there's real. Well, I wouldn't call it. How can I phrase this? There's a little bit of edge now, and that's. I tell you, here's an idea. If you're looking for a new golf tournament, maybe you and I could organise this as a Ryder Cup thing between LIV Golf and PGA Tour. Wouldn't that be? That would be.
That'd be worth watching with all the Saudi royal family at the last tee, maybe, or something like that. But just from your perspective, I couldn't hit a golf ball to save my life. I was never going to be a golfer. You obviously have a golf pedigree. Was there anything that would make you think this was a good idea to join the Live movement? It just seems totally baffling to me when they have so much money as it is.
Well, I mean, there's money and there's money. You know, a professional golfer. You're a reasonable... Say Harold Varner. Harold Varner was one of the 7 who jumped over to Live yesterday. Good player. But he's making on the PGA Tour maybe... You know, he's got to play well to make the money, by the way. It's not guaranteed. He's probably making 3 to 4 million on the PGA Tour a year and another couple of million off the course. So there's your 6 million. None of it guaranteed, of course. You've got to play well. And Live come along and say, well, we'll give you 10 million a year and it's guaranteed for 5 years. You know, it's a bit of a no-brainer. If I'm Ian Poulter, I'm 45 years old. My game is, you know, I'm sure he would deny it, but my game is in decline, you know, which is perfectly normal. Somebody comes along and offers you, you know, 25 to 30 million. There's no way in God's earth that Ian Poulter is going to make guaranteed money 25 million over the next 4 or 5 years. So you can see the fiscal calculation on the part of these guys, and you. Again, who are we to criticise them? You know, it's their careers, it's their living. From Ian Poulter's point of view, he's probably thinking, well, I've given enough to the European Tour over the years. I've played my part, and now it's time for me to really look after myself. I mean, you get the philosophical question: how much money is too much money? I mean, everybody's got a different answer. I'm sure your answer. I mean, you look like a very well put together. You probably don't need to Live money, Johnny. But maybe somebody like me might.
You can tell you don't know me very well.
OTB AM
with Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.